and was only suitable for people aged 18 or over, will almost certainly have an adult theme, and might well contain sex or violence, which are quite graphic. It may also contain explicit language, including sexual swear words. Thanks for listening.
But here's what his revelation comes to him. He's kind of got all this stuff, like touching, wiping, mourning of the animals.
Not wiping, whipping.
Yeah. Also not touching.
I am dyslexic. I hope I'm not having like a stroke.
Do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
And an atheist almost always become supporters of eugenics and abortion.
A swine is hungry for nuts.
Jesus hates them too.
Satan is real.
Being a Satanist is an open declaration of revolt against counterproductive received wisdom and mindless rogue tradition.
Decapitate her head off.
We're done. You're done.
Obama!
Obama!
Oh my God.
I had to do it. It's the last time.
I wasn't expecting it.
I had to.
You did.
That's true. We are changing our song.
Yeah, because this is the last episode of season 3.
Season 4 is going to be bringing a lot of changes.
Changes. Now, this is episode 153. Today is Wednesday, April 29th. April 19th. Last show of season 3. This is the Godless Rebelution. I am Dan Ellis.
I'm Ryan Duffy.
And I am gearing up to be mad at some stuff.
Oh, that'll be totally different. Weird.
I thought that was a new change for season 4. You're going to be like calmer and not be mad at stuff anymore.
I have been sober the last 2 times we've done this show, and I still
Irish.
Yell. Yeah. Well, I guess that doesn't go away.
On tonight's show, we will be interviewing Dr. Karen Garst. She is the author of Women Beyond Belief, Discovering Life Without Religion. We've already interviewed her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was great.
She's a very, very nice lady.
And I shall go pick that book up because it's the stories, like what she reads to us from. And I'm like, those actually sound like really interesting stories.
They do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has a lot of interesting things to say and a new perspective on the whole issue.
Yes. Everybody should go and buy her book. We'll also be talking about some news stuff. What did you guys do over the last week since the show?
Fixed my fucking car, finally.
Right. Yeah. When did you get it done?
Sunday.
Yeah. So it was in the parking lot for 2 weeks almost?
Yeah, a week and a half. And then I had been talking to Meg about having her tow it with her 4Runner, but things just weren't lining up. So I dragged Danielle up there yet again. Well, it's a whole fucking thing. But I went up there 6 times probably with a new part, thinking, oh, it's got to be this hose. Oh, this throttle body needs a gasket. Take all of it out. Take the airbox out. All the cables. Unhook the throttle cable. Everything all the way out to the throttle body. 6 fucking times and put it all back together, and none of it worked. So I finally had her tow me back, and I'm like, I think I know the problem has got to be the gasket in between my idle air control and my throttle body, because that's the part that I just replaced. And it was overheating, and coolant runs through the throttle body right there. So it's got to be something. So I replaced the hoses, thinking that maybe I wiggled one of those and it caught a crack or something. They're original hoses from 2001 and stuff. So that didn't work. Anyway, finally got it home.
Probably good to replace those about now anyway.
Yeah. Oh, and here's a pro tip. If you're having a hard time getting your hoses back on the pipes, fucking Armor All.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just trial and error, but I had it in my trunk and I'm like, shit, this makes rubber slick, doesn't it? Fuck yeah, it does.
I was going to say, if you were at home, you can just use some really hot water because the rubber expands and it slips on nice and easy, but you didn't have that.
Armor All.
Yeah, if you put it on the post, and if you want to spray any inside the hose, but I didn't, and then it just slides right on.
Oh wow.
A little bit of lube will do ya.
It also helps on the outside with the hose clamps. They'll slide easier too. But anyway, yeah, so I changed all that, pulled my idle air control valve back off, which I just replaced, and the gasket was sitting kind of funny. And the stupid fucking thing is, that thing has got to be on so tight enough to hold all the pressure from the coolant running through at those high temperatures. Right. And they have 4 machine screws that you are supposed to mount the idle air control valve to the throttle body with a fucking screwdriver. Like, that's ridiculous. So I went and replaced all those with with the same thread of, like a hex head that I could actually turn.
Yeah.
Put the gasket back where it's supposed to be, glued the fucking thing, put it back together, and ran it, and it still overheated. So I was like, fuck. And that's where I was like, oh shit, it's been leaking coolant for a week. So then I went and filled it up.
There's no coolant in it.
Yeah,
at
so
all.
I filled it up with coolant. Now it's running fine. So I've spent all week doing that bullshit.
Well, it's good that it's fixed finally.
Yeah. Runs
And you
good.
got all new hoses and
Yeah, runs good.
runs like a champ. Fantastic. And you, Mr. Duffy?
230,000 miles.
Wow.
I just been doing my freelance video work and building websites for another company.
I didn't know you did any web development stuff.
I haven't really in the past. I've done little things before, but they paid for it all. And they're like, hey, we already got all this stuff paid for, this web builder and everything. We've been using it. We just don't have the time to build a website. They want to build a new website to help train their employees. So I'm building it for them right now.
So go to Squarespace.
No, actually, there's this, 'cause I've used Squarespace and I've used those other ones and it's junk. This one here, I can actually go and start with a blank page and lay all the things and actually make hyperlinks and do the HTML codes in there. And I can tell it where to go and choose the size of it besides the program saying, well, you get to have a square here and you can tell it what to say in that square. I'm like, I don't want a fucking square there. So,
But it's a square space. Come
a
on,
square
Ryan.
space.
It's how it works.
yeah, but then they don't let you get rid of it. It's like, I don't want that. I don't want one of your layouts. I want to build my own layout. So I've been working on that, and that's what I was doing that this morning. Got the windows in the car tinted.
Nice.
Ew, so now you're rolling deep.
Yeah, I look like a gangster. Got a gangster Ultima now.
You need to put some 20s on there.
Fuck yeah.
With spinners.
No, I'm not going to go
Curb
that far.
feelers.
Yeah. Yeah.
To protect your investment.
True.
Let's see. I went to the Perfect Circle concert on Saturday.
Looked pretty badass.
It was fucking
So
really cool.
You posted that picture with them playing the Beatles song. Was that their opener?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was not the opener. It was toward the end-ish.
So I figured that'd be really funny if doing the, No Religion song as their opener in Utah.
Yeah. Well, they do a cover of Imagine.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was just during their set. But yeah, it was a great show. And thank you very much, Shane, for the tickets. His company owns a suite there. And he invited me along. Shane's a fantastic guy. Always have a great time with him. And yeah, it was a lot of fun hanging out in the suite. I took Gray, my son, with me to the concert. That was a lot of fun. He's a fantastic kid, man.
Where is that kid? I haven't seen him forever.
He does things and junk and stuff. He's going to school. He's a TA.
Yeah, he's probably smarter than all three of us. Why isn't he coming on this show?
I keep asking him. He's like, no. I don't know what to say. No, he's awesome. He's actually graduating.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, next month. Very exciting stuff. And was accepted to grad school.
Oh,
Nice.
sweet.
Yeah. So,
Congratulations.
yeah, I'm super proud of him. He's a kick-ass kid, man. What else? Oh,
When's he going to change his name to Ellis, though? That's the
anytime.
important thing.
Anytime now, I'm sure. What did you guys do for Zombie Jesus Day?
Slept in at work and watched Mystery Science Theater 3000 most of the day.
Oh, I hear that's really cool.
It is. I like it.
Yeah, the new stuff.
Yeah, and I actually got really excited 2-3 weeks ago when I went to Netflix and I was like, oh, new episodes of Mystery Science Theater 3000. And I click it, I'm like, oh, it's all the old ones.
Oh,
Like, I want the new ones. Yeah, so I recommend it. If you were a fan of the old show, definitely go watch it.
Yeah, Hardwick, Chris Hardwick was saying how great it was last night on at midnight. I'll have to check it out for sure. I hear it's pretty good. We had the family over, had dinner, ate a bunch of candy and ham and Mormon funeral potatoes.
Ham candy?
Ham candy, yes.
So
It
the
was
funeral
delicious.
potatoes were for
Candied
Jesus.
ham.
Hamdy. Nice.
And Mormon funeral potatoes. Those are
Green Jello with carrot
always
shavings.
very good. No Jello.
Oh.
We had no Jello at all.
I thought that was like the staple of Mormon festival foods too.
Well, it is, but this was not a decidedly non-Mormon
Okay.
Zombie Jesus Day family dinner.
Did you pass around the offering trays with shots in it?
There were, I don't know if anybody had shots, but The whole family put together went through almost a handle of the Crown Royal green apple.
Yeah.
I was editing the show for a large portion of this. I could just hear them being very rowdy in the kitchen area. And I went down and there's maybe a fifth of that bottle left at the bottom. I'm like, holy shit, you guys really like the Crown Apple or the Crown Royal green apple shit, huh?
It is delicious.
It's pretty yummy. I like it. What else are we doing this evening? We got news stories. We got stuff about religion and junk. Yeah, last show of the season. 3 years, man.
It's crazy to think we've been doing this for 3 years.
3 years! What was that? Gross Point Blank.
Yeah. Well, he was 10 years.
Was it 10?
Yeah, he had been away from 10 years. Killing people.
All right. We'll take a quick little break, and on the other side, we'll have our interview with Dr. Karen Garst.
This is Matt Dillahunty, and you're listening to the Godless Revolution.
We all know there is a cure for poverty. It's a rudimentary one. It does work, though. It works everywhere for the same reason. It's colloquially called the empowerment of women. It's the only thing that does work. If you allow women some control over their cycle of reproduction, so that they're not chained by their husbands or by village custom to annual animal-type pregnancies, early death, disease, and so on. If you will free them from that, give them some basic health of that sort, and if you are generous enough to throw in perhaps a handful of seeds and a bit of credit, the whole floor, culturally, socially, medically, economic, of that village will rise. It works every time.
Rejoining the Godless Rebelution podcast now.
Well, on the line with us, we have Dr. Karen Garst. How are you this evening?
I am terrific.
Fantastic. Dr. Garst is the author of Women Beyond Belief, Discovering Life Without Religion. And that was just released in, was it September?
Yes.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Myself. Well, before the show, we already determined that I know what the word UFTA means. I was born in Bismarck, North Dakota, and went to school at Concordia College, a Lutheran college in Moorhead, Minnesota. And then I went to Madison, Wisconsin. I have a PhD that I never really used until I put it on the book. I moved to Oregon to become a field representative for the American Federation of Teachers. Then I was executive director of the Oregon Community College Association, did a lot of lobbying at the legislature. And then finally, I served 13 years as the executive director of the Oregon State Bar. And I have retired from that position. Never to take a salaried position again.
Well, so do you have a JD then?
No, I do not.
Oh, so what is your doctorate in? What was your thesis?
Well, it's really interesting. My doctorate, I was asked to pick a topic based on Pierre Bourdieu. He was a French sociologist of education because I speak French. I have a master's in French.
Oh,
mais oui. Because we were studying, it was really kind of an interesting study group with my advisor. It was very much on the left. I mean, we read Karl Marx and Habermas and all of that. And we were studying how this educational system repeats the economic system. So Pierre Bourdieu does a lot of work on culture and cultural reproduction. Just to give you a real quick example, there was a study where the teacher said, okay, it's not good to divide people by economic status, and we should not track people. We should just have every kid do the best they can. And so they eliminated their tracks. They got into the classroom, and based how they talked, how they looked, what they wore, they just divided them into those classes all over again. So it kind of shows out how deeply ingrained culture is and how it's even difficult to perceive the impact of it. And I think what's interesting is I didn't go into academia, but 40 years later, all my presentations are about religion as culture. And I usually say that religion is the last cultural barrier to gender equality. So 40 years later, it's come full circle.
Well, that's very interesting. So you went to a Lutheran school. I'm guessing you grew up Lutheran?
I grew up Lutheran.
And what was it that started your exit out of religion?
Well, I've probably been an atheist for a couple of decades. My husband was a lapsed Catholic. We did get married in a Lutheran church, but he wasn't that much into it. And we ended up going to this New Thought church. It was kind of all past to God. My mother-in-law once said, that was a good talk, but I wouldn't call it a sermon. It was kind of like listening to Stephen Covey, and it was great. And then it folded, went belly up, and we left. But I can actually say what really tipped me over was reading Bishop John Shelby Spong's book, Resurrection, Myth, or Reality, because the resurrection was the last thing I was clinging to. If the resurrection isn't true, okay, it's nothing then. Mm-hmm. Because even at Concordia, my first class in Religion 101, they talked about the widely accepted 4 oral strains that compose the Old Testament, the J, the P, the D, and the E, and talked about the Babylonian exile as a real historical event. So even in a religious school, it wasn't very doctrinaire, if you want. But reading Spong's book kind of did it for me, and then I was just an atheist. And we didn't join anything else. We didn't go to any organizations that, secular organizations. We just slept in on Sunday.
One of the best perks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and not paying tithing, I think, are two of the best things about it.
Well, Lutherans don't require you to give up 10% a year.
No, but we had the cutest thing when I was growing up. When it came time to make a pledge for what you were going to give every Sunday, they had this little book that the Augsburg Press put out, and it was all baby faces. And, the baby would be scowling, I don't think I can give this year.
Oh, geez.
It was very humorous, and I always look forward every spring to taking a look at that. And I tried to find that from Augsburg, and I couldn't get it anymore, but it was really cute.
Yeah, they didn't require you to give money, but they sure loved the guilt.
Oh, yeah. In fact, once I was at church when I was in college, I'd come home, and the preacher was looking right at one of our national congressmen talking about money. And I got so pissed, I got up and walked out. And then my dad felt bad and gave him extra money because I walked out. Totally negated my stance that I had taken.
Oh, that's terrible. So are your parents still around? Did they remain religious throughout their lives?
They did. My dad was more religious than my mother, but he was also very interested in science. So it was never an evangelical, intelligent design, creationism, etc. When I studied evolution in middle school, I figured, God, I wonder when God breathed in the soul. Was it Cro-Magnon, or did he go back to Neanderthal? So I just kind of incorporated everything, but it was pretty namby-pamby Lutheranism, as I say.
Okay.
A far cry from Martin Luther's original misogynistic, anti-Semitic writings.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes, my brothers passed away. I think even toward the end, he said he believed in God, but he never went to church. My sister is vacillating between agnostic and atheist.
Just depending on how she feels during the day, or?
Yeah. Depending on the type of blog I write each week, she'll go, okay, I'm an atheist. That did
it. Well, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your book. What inspired you to write it?
Well, in fact, I was just listening to the news. They were talking about the case of the church that didn't get state money to revamp its playground.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Very nervous about that. But what got me motivated was the Supreme Court decision in 2014, Burwell v. Hobby Lobby. And I'm sure you're familiar with it. And that's basically where this privately held corporation, closely held corporation, didn't want to provide certain forms of birth control that they said were abortifacients under Obamacare. And so they filed suit, and the court said, okay, you don't have to, we'll buy them for you. So I just happened to be having lunch with a friend of mine who's an author, and she said, you should write a book. And I said, well, the only thing I get pissed about is religion. And there we are, years later.
Well, and what inspired you to make it short stories from secular women?
Well, I think you know well. Let me see. I'm talking to three guys, right? The statistics. I would say almost all the outspoken atheists are men. The Four Horsemen. Richard Dawkins and company, who really kind of gave a new face, kind of rejuvenated the movement in the late 90s, early 2000s. If you go online and look at debates, they're mostly men. And not that there aren't women atheists who have written and have spoken out, but just the vast majority of them are men. So I decided it would be good to focus on women. And so I started asking friends who I knew were atheists. And then I branched out. I started attending the different humanist groups, secular groups at Portland. Then I reached out on social media to get a little broader take, and ended up with 22 women, including myself, telling their personal stories of how they deconverted.
Yeah, I watched one of your videos earlier today on your YouTube channel, and you were talking about your book, and you mentioned 3 different stories from the book. And I kind of had it playing in the background while I was doing other work stuff. And the thing that perked up my ears was when I heard the word Mormon. Being in Utah, of course, Matt and I are both former Mormons. Ryan is a transplant from Wisconsin.
And was never religious at all.
But
lucky you.
Yeah. But so, Matt and I, being ex-Mormons and living in Utah, of course, that perked up my ears when I heard you talking about that. So there's 22 different stories in there. Can you tell us a little bit about the LDS one that's in there?
Oh, yeah. She's a really good friend of mine. In fact, I've adopted her. She calls me mom now. She kind of got into Mormonism later, and she got married to a Mormon who was in his late 30s, who'd never been married before. And he was pretty devout, and they started having children, and she had 2 kids, and I don't think she was working at the time and perhaps wanted to go back to work or whatever. They got in this argument, and he says to her, why can't you just submit?
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she said, I think the marriage is over, and got a divorce. But I'm not sure she'd call herself an atheist either. She's probably more agnostic. But, she's really struggled with her children. And one of them is gay. And, that's kind of frowned on by the church. Mm-hmm. And the father wants him to go to all of these classes before school, like every day. And, he knows what the child knows what his father and the church thinks about being gay. So I think when they're 16 or 17 or so, at least he will leave. But it's really difficult raising children when you've got one person who totally left religion and the other one is knee deep in it. Mm-hmm. He's gotten remarried and had at least 1, if not 2 other children. So it was a difficult situation for her. But I think for probably the most difficult journey was by someone who was raised as a fundamentalist. And I'm not sure I even knew that much about what that meant.
Fundamentalist Mormon or?
No, it was evangelical Christian.
Oh, okay.
But she was taught not only that people commit sin, but that she was sin.
Oh.
Kind of, the St. Augustine, misogynistic, carnal lust. Sin is caused by carnal lust, and in women it's paramount, Augustine said. And it took her decades after she decided to leave the faith to feel good about herself. I mean, I don't think people understand the detrimental impact on indoctrinating children at a very young age and telling them if they don't do this, you'll go to this burning pit in hell. Yeah. And it's child abuse. I mean, it's nothing other than child abuse.
Yeah, I've always felt the same way, that, teaching kids that if they don't do what an invisible daddy in the sky says means that they're going to burn in hell forever. That's got to be fairly traumatic for a young kid.
Oh, absolutely. And she communicated with me just kind of when the book was coming out, and she was on the Oregon coast, our beautiful Oregon coast, and sitting down, and she said she had an epiphany. She felt good about herself for the first time. And she's around 50.
Oh, wow.
And said, and I think writing the essay helped.
Yeah.
So that, of course, made me feel good. But one of the things we all need are models. And it's difficult to imagine yourself as something if you don't see anyone else like you doing it. You remember the picture at the Oval Office with the little boy looking up at Obama and going, wow, I'm an African-American. He's an African-American, and he's president. How cool is that? Well, it's the same thing, whether it's women picking career choices. There's always the first astronaut. There's always the first anthropologist. And for those women, more power to them. But most of us can't be the first of something. Mm-hmm. We have to see somebody else who's done it to realize that it's a possibility for ourselves. And so I think that's why this book about women is really helpful, because Sonia Johnson, who is a Mormon, Sonia Johnson, or are you too young? It was when the ERA came out, she wanted to ask the Mormon Church why they were against the Equal Rights Amendment. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing her tell the story that a group of women had gathered together, and this man had come to talk to them and explain it to them. And he started out by saying, well, gee, on the way over here, when I was thinking about what I would say, totally disregarding these intelligent women, he hadn't even prepared. And she was eventually excommunicated.
Shocker.
Yeah. So I think seeing somebody else who is an atheist, who is a woman, makes it easier for a woman to say, oh, yeah, I can do that. I know she had a bad time. I don't think I'll have it that bad with my family. Oh, but it's okay. She did it. I can do it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what walk of, whether you're talking about a profession or a sport that you're afraid to do, whatever. You really got to see models. And that's what I hope this book provides.
Yeah, it's going to give a lot bigger voice to women that have gone through the same situation, seeing they can get out of it. And I was also wondering, has it been more of the evangelical side of religion that you see the women having issues when they're getting out? The ones that have been more patriarchal and less friendly to women?
I've spent the week researching and checking footnotes. That's so much fun. On my new book. And my new book, they're mostly women atheists who've already written a book. Abby Hafer, Valerie Tirico, and those, God, I forgot what I was going to say. Your question was again?
But the more evangelical churches being harder for women to get out of?
Okay. Well, I'm not so sure of that. I have an essay by a woman who's Jewish, and the Orthodox Jewish tradition and what they do to women. I mean, I was really shocked. I knew part of that, but I didn't know all of it. Like, they're not only unclean when they have their period, they're unclean a week thereafter. And some of them can't work outside the house because nobody can touch something they've touched. So, and then I also have two women who are ex-Muslims, right? And obviously, I think we'd all agree that's the worst possible scenario.
Yeah.
But I also have, I remembered what I was going to say now. There's hope yet. One of the women who's writing for that is Greta Vosper, who has written a book. She is a minister in Canada, and she's an atheist.
Huh.
And she is.
Yeah, I think I've heard her story. Is she?
Yeah.
I think the church or the denomination that she is a minister for. Wasn't there a big dust up about that recently, that they wanted to defrock her or something?
There still is. And what happened when she became an atheist, she had to share that with her congregation. And some of them left, some stayed, and some new people came on because of it. And so, she talks in her essay about, should I leave? Should I stay? Should I leave? Should I stay? But she really outlines for me what churches could convert to keep that sense of community. And then they could turn themselves to not only helping each other, but helping the community and really focusing on that. And that's what her church has done. And so her church members are totally behind her. I know a minister in a Presbyterian church in Portland, one of the suburbs, who's an atheist, and they knew it. The congregation knew it when they hired him. So you're probably not aware of a lot of these cases, but there is some movement there. And then you have the universalist and some of those who are pretty as close to just being a humanist as you can get and still calling it religion.
Yeah, I've wondered what they talk about while they're at the pulpit as an atheist to a congregation of what I assume is primarily made up of believers.
Well, I think when she came out, the people who were really staunch believers left.
Yeah.
And people who didn't want a fire and brimstone doctrinaire church just started to come to hers because they knew about it. But there's a lot of things you can talk about. You can even use the Bible to talk about, there are some good things in there, but, it's a humanist approach. You talk about what you can do to help other people and, morals and attitudes and different things like that.
This is Matt. Why do you think there are so few female atheists in outspoken positions or in the spotlight in the movement?
Well, I think part of it started with the people who were the most outspoken atheists were coming from philosophy and science. And 30 years ago, 20 years ago, that was really dominated by men. So you have Dawkins, science, Dennett, philosopher. So I think that's part of it. I think probably it's a question of a history of debate, where perhaps men are more comfortable debating and arguing. Although there certainly have been women who do debate. It's really interesting because if you look at the church, most of the people who do the work are women. My 96-year-old mother-in-law is head of the funeral potluck committee.
Wow.
And at 96, she organizes a potluck for the funerals at her Catholic parish.
That's amazing.
And I remember when my dad was deacon of the Lutheran church, he came home and said to Mom, well, now the wives do the altar flowers. And she's going, I didn't run to be deacon. You did.
So you do the flowers.
Dad had to do it, But whether it's folding bulletins, I don't even know if they fold them anymore, but all of that kind of doing all the kitchen stuff and arranging everything and being greeters, a lot of that is women. So the other reason to reach women is if women leave the church, it's going to collapse.
They've lost their workers, their smiling faces at the doors, and
I've always wondered why. I mean, if you look at only the religious aspect of it, I've always wondered why women aren't the ones who are leaving the church more often than men. I mean, when you look at the rampant sexism and outright misogyny in a lot of the religious traditions, you would think that those who are at the bottom rungs of that would be the first to leave. That they would be the first to say, fuck it, I'm tired of this bullshit. I'm tired of being the one who does the majority of the work and gets shit on all the time, while some guy is telling me what to do all the time.
And, like in the Catholic Church, you can't be a priest, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same in the LDS Church.
There's so many things you're excluded from being. And I think your point is really valid. And I also think if women knew what there was before monotheism, they'd be even more likely to leave. One of the presentations that I do frequently on book tours is called From Goddess to God, Elimination of the Female Divine. And even though we probably remember in high school, Edith Hamilton's mythology book, we knew there were gods and goddesses. Mm-hmm. But as women got into the fields of archaeology and those types of issues in the 60s, such as Marie Gimbutas, they started looking at things from the Paleolithic forward with different eyes. And so I've done a lot of research in this area, and I think it's pretty clear that the first, I hesitate to say worship, but let's say veneration, was of nature, the earth goddess, mother goddess. Mm. And I often think and this is in the Paleolithic area, they figured out the cycles of the moon. They knew the regularity of that. And for them to know that women bled and didn't die from bleeding, and that they bled every month just like the moon, that had to be, whoa, holy shit. That's pretty cool. So they naturally had a reverence for the earth because they wouldn't survive if a big storm came out or everything. So appeasing the earth to be kind to them was certainly probably one of the first things. They've even found graves of Neanderthal where they buried their dead on purpose, with red ochre lined up with a bone from an animal next to it. So this goes back a long ways. And what's interesting is when Judaism developed into a monotheistic religion, and it wasn't even monotheistic in its early history, and there's evidence of that in the Bible, there were other cultures at the same time who were getting rid of the female goddesses. For example, Enuma Elish is the story of the Babylonians, their myth story. And Marduk, is one of the bros. And he says to the other guys, hey, if you make me head god, I'll get rid of Tiamat, which is that kind of sea monster, female goddess. And they go, sure, bro, we'll do that. No problem. And Marduk attacks Tiamat and cuts her in pieces. And I know we've heard this before, creates heaven and earth, and there's a lot of actually parts of that mythology, the Babylonians, that made it into the Bible, where you have, whether it's Enuma Elish or Gilgamesh, I did a blog post once on the Ark and Noah and paralleled it with the other story, word for word practically. Build it this big, put this in it, etc. So cultures change and get assimilated and pick a piece off another culture. It's not a straight, cultural reproduction isn't a straight path. But I think if women knew the onset of monotheism and why and what it did and all of the patriarchy and the things that came about against women because of the patriarchy, they might be more liable to say, wait a sec, I want to go back.
Yeah.
Or I want to at least discard this belief in everything that's male. I often say that the story of Isaac and Abraham and Isaac is where the woman is completely left out of religion, because Abraham has a conversation with Yahweh. Yahweh tells him to sacrifice his son Isaac. He says, sure, no problem, God. He doesn't talk to Sarah. He's there, and Yahweh intervenes. No women, no conversation. That's it.
Yeah, in fact,
I think it's a true patriarchal turning point.
And even in that story, if you expand it out, Sarah's little more than a vessel for children anyway, and throughout at all. There's really nothing more said of her.
Absolutely. Well, most of the women in the Bible, that's what their view was, that I'm the patriarch. I have the property. I want to give the property to my oldest son. And so I have to be sure the woman I married is a virgin. And then I have to be sure she doesn't commit adultery. Most people don't know, they talk about abortion. They say there's no reference to abortion in the Bible. Wrong.
Yep.
And the new version is pretty explicit in Numbers 5 by saying that the guy brings his wife into the priest and says, I don't have two witnesses to prove she committed adultery, but that lump on her stomach, I don't think it's mine. And the priest gives her something to drink, and the blood runs down her legs.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty obvious.
Yeah, it sounds
So it's
like
all
abortion
about
to me.
men.
Yeah.
Is there a way to change that? Is there a path to shifting, moving that Overton window, or?
Well, there are. I just finished a book by Barbara Walker called The Rights of the Goddess. And I don't know, maybe the title itself would direct people who believe in a goddess to read it, but she has done an incredible job of outlining all the issues that religion has for women. And it's a very interesting book. I don't think going back to worship of a goddess, even if not, as Walker describes her, as something that's not transcendent, that's not supernatural, is the way to go. Some people may choose to do that, but I think the recognition of the fact that there were women who were worshipped, there were women who were queens of Arabia, there were women who were pharaohs in Egypt, and that got all taken away with through Judaism and Christianity and Islam. Each of my authors, one who was writing about the early African American experience, talks about the goddesses in Africa, that they brought this notion that they brought with them, and that was actually kind of the first foundation for Gula and voodoo. That was that ancient worship of the goddess. And the person who's writing, who's Muslim for my new book, talks about the goddesses in Arabia before Muhammad. And Muhammad himself married a woman who was older than he was, who was a businesswoman. But I think he saw what patriarchy was doing for Christianity and uniting all these different people, that he said patriarchy works. And so all of that was eliminated. There were women rulers in Arabia. There were women goddesses in Arabia before Islam. But hey, Christianity was doing pretty good with a male god, so let's try that.
So I wanted to move to some of the questions that we've gotten from our listeners to make sure that we get them covered. Shalise Blythe, who is the chapter head of the local chapter of the Satanic Temple here in Salt Lake City, wrote to us, and she says, I'd be curious to get her take on women like me whose religion challenges these very issues. Satanism, or in my case, the Satanic Temple, not only challenges the long-standing oppressive nature of most religions, but actually holds women in the highest regard, and its leadership is predominantly female. She also mentions the Hobby Lobby decision, which the Satanic Temple actively uses to fight for women's reproductive rights, and I'd like to hear her take on that as well.
Well, I think there's a number of different areas where women have gotten together, whether it's that one or a worship of the goddess covens, those type of things where women wanted a safe space to get together. And, that's great. There are also some religions that, for example, there's a movement in the United States and elsewhere to embrace secular Buddhism. So take the good stuff, the meditation, and we know what that really does to calm the mind, but we don't take the God stuff with it. So I think, people want to have bonds with other people. They want a community. Now, for me, as a retired person, it's going Thursday night to Taco Thursday at Seven Brides Brewing in Silverton. Our neighborhood gets together. We may have 4 people or 20 people. It's great. It's participating. We had an Easter egg hunt. We hid eggs down in our park in our housing development. So there's all kinds of things that people can do for that sense of community. And I think a lot of women stay in church because of the community. And one of my authors said when they left, they were in Colorado Springs when she and her husband deconverted. And they said not a single person in their church would have anything to do with them after they left, and said they were atheists.
That's terrible.
It's terrible. It is. So you can see why people say, maybe I'll go to this humanist group, or maybe I'll go to this, or maybe I'll go to that, and I'll really stick up for my rights as a woman. And if that's what works and makes you feel good, and you get that sense of community out of it, I mean, I miss singing. That's the only place I ever sang was in church. And we got to walk down the aisle in high school singing this song. And my brother, when he was alive, and sister and I would get together and sing it. It was just this pomp and circumstance that you didn't have anywhere else in your life. So I think it'd be great if the churches would kind of stay as community, just give up the supernatural part.
Yeah, I agree. And it's difficult, for when people leave religion behind, a lot of the time they are ostracized. They lose their community that they had through their church. They lose a lot of their friends. Sometimes they lose family members. And it would be great if there were a way for the secular community to provide a more of a community. I know that a lot of people and organizations are trying that. You've got Sunday Assembly, you've got the UU churches, you've got Secular Sundays, Oasis Church. There's a bunch of different things that are starting to come up now, but it's really, really difficult to compete with an organization with so much history behind it that, demands that you provide them tithing, that you, not only that you provide them tithing, but that you also volunteer for them regularly. They have this entire hierarchical structure that allows them to have all of these means that they can provide those types of services. And it would be nice if they could, unshackle themselves from all of the religious, superstitious nonsense that goes along with it. But I don't know how the secular community can compete with those types of resources.
Well, and I think a lot's going to depend on the millennials. There was a book I read once called Bowling Alone. When I was growing up, we had Luther League at church, and we'd go bowling and we'd do ice skating. It's where we did stuff. People don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
When was the last time you knew anyone who was on a bowling team? Right?
It's been a while.
Yeah. There's so many other things going on that I'm not sure the millennials, once they get away from home, I mean, even when I got to grad school, I never went to church. Because church to me was in Bismarck, and I knew everybody in every pew. And I wasn't going to join a church I didn't know anybody. And plus, I was really shy. But, if they spend time away and they meet people who are different from them, I guess I have some hope in the millennials.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain a lot of religious dogma when you get outside of the specialized group that you were living in and grew up in, and realize that, oh, wow, the people that my church was othering for so long, really, they're not so bad. In fact, I happen to like quite a few of them.
I think social media is going to help out a lot with that, too, because now they're getting exposure to other groups that they wouldn't have gotten exposure to otherwise, and getting to see what it's like. And it's no longer just their community. Now they can literally have friends across the world and see their experience.
The amount of information that's available. I was just listening to Seth Andrews, the Thinking Atheist, when he was talking about the movie about Madeline
Murray O'Hare.
O'Hare. Okay. And she was 13 and one weekend read the Bible cover to cover and said, well, that's bullshit. But she didn't hear the word atheist until she was working in France when she was 23. And somebody said, well, you're just an atheist. And she went and had to look it up. I don't think I heard the word atheist growing up. I don't think I would have known what it was. So now you just Google it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much more information available. It's just, we had a 1957 Collier's Encyclopedia, and that's what I did my homework with. And if it wasn't in there, it didn't go in the homework. And I never thought of looking up the word atheism. I don't think I'd ever heard it. Everyone I knew went to church. I could tell you Jennifer was a Methodist, so-and-so was a Presbyterian. Here are the 5 Jewish families in town. Everybody was something.
I mean, I grew up an atheist and never heard the word atheist.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, it probably wasn't until I was 18, 19 going into the military where someone's like, well, you're just an atheist then, aren't you? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What? Yes.
I was like, don't call me things I don't know what are, because.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, beyond even realizing what the word atheist is and coming to identify with it, then it's, okay, well, now I'm an atheist, but surely I'm the only one, or one of very few. You know, I had been an open atheist to my friends, anyway, for years and years before I ever thought about looking up, you know, on Google or online anywhere to see if there were any atheist groups around me. That wasn't even a concept that I had in my mind, that atheists would get together to do things like that. It still seems a little weird to me, right? But it was just not even a thought in my head. That it was years and years that I spent feeling like I was the only one out there before I just sat at the computer one day and was doing something, and I thought, oh, I should Google atheists in Utah and see if there's anything. And, you know, Atheists of Utah popped up, and Salt Lake Valley Atheists and a couple other groups. And I was like, oh, wow, they actually get together and they do shit. Well, what would atheists talk about together? Like nothing? Yeah, it was weird. And then I had to stalk the groups for a little while before I actually had the nerve to go out and go to coffee with any of them or do anything like that.
Check them out first.
Yeah. We have another question from listener Brandy Hamrick, who says, I'd be interested to know if there was any sort of common thread that she found as she researched women leaving religion behind. What does she see as the driving forces?
That's interesting. Each one was really pretty unique, but a lot of it is just questioning. So, you know, whether you're doing that, mine was kind of on an academic basis by reading books about it, or one of them, a friend of theirs died, a young girl, and that was a really turning point. So it could be something that's kind of catastrophic, or it could be just gradually over time questioning each belief until you have nothing left. So each of them is really different. Three were born in Europe and were raised more or less secular. Jill, one of my friends, grew up in England, and she said, well, the way you give directions in England is you turn at the Lucky Lab, and then you go down to the Barrel pub, and then you go right. And she said she got to the United States and everyone directed her by the church. Oh, turn at the Methodist Church and then turn again right at the Catholic Church. And she said, I don't know where those are. So the three who were raised in Europe were kind of more secular to start out. They didn't have very far to go. Let me put it that way.
Well, and here in Utah, that would be really difficult because
there's one on every corner.
Yeah, but they're all LDS churches too, right? So it's, well, you go down here and you take a right by the LDS church, and it's, well, which one? There are three within a mile radius of my house.
There's one even halfway between the two on the corner.
You should just number them all. Turn at 1, turn left at 3.
Yeah, well, they're numbered by ward and then by stake, but
they don't label
unless you're a member, you wouldn't really know that kind of stuff. And but yeah, there are so many LDS churches here. We're lousy with LDS churches.
There's 3 on my block.
We now have GPS, so it's okay.
Yeah. It's a big help for sure.
Absolutely.
Listener Taylor Grin wanted to know, he says, to add to Brandy Hamrick's question, given that there are so many more atheist men than women and religious women than men, how can we better tailor our message and fix our groups to help women out of religion?
Well, I think, anytime you have a group that's dominated by one group, you have to be pretty conscious that if you want to change, you have to do it on purpose. And that means when you have a conference, don't have 8 men talking. Find women. And I'll tell you, if you ever need any help, I will connect anybody with women atheists. And you need to, again, if you want to do a conference and you have a panel, include women in it, because they're going to say something different than the men do. In leadership positions, maybe you have to go a little further to encourage somebody to be on the board, but we really want you. We really need you. We'd like you to participate. So you may have to go a little out of your way. And I'm still not really sure why there are more men atheists and women, because women have so much more to give up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's so oppressive when you look at the teachings in the Bible and how women are just, what did somebody say? One of the Muslim women said something about there's this saying with a donkey or a dog or what and a woman, Well, donkey, dog, or woman. That's not exactly right, but there's so many more reasons for women to leave religion than men. And the other thing is, it's been hard for me to kind of break out of the atheist community. I'm going to meet with a publicist in a week or so. The atheist community has been incredibly welcoming. I've been accepted everywhere. Somebody introduced me to Dr. Peter Boghossian, who wrote Manual for Creating Atheists and developed the app Atheist, and I ply him with sushi lunches, and then he gives me advice. I'm having lunch with him on Friday. But everywhere I've been, people have been really welcoming. But it's kind of hard to get the message out outside the atheist community. And it was interesting listening to Seth's podcast today where it said Madeline realized she couldn't be a nice little girl. And, oh, gosh, she was on Donahue. She opened the Donahue show, and it took off because she was really controversial and in your face. And when Sally Jesse Raphael came along, Frank Zingler, who was active in American Atheist, got on, and that show took off. So I don't know why today we don't have more women atheists speaking out. And I'm there. I'm happy to do it. My dream is to be on Charlie Rose, sitting down calmly across the table, talking about atheism and why women should give up religion.
I think that would be awesome. I'd love to see you on Charlie Rose.
Or I'd love to debate William Lane Craig about religion. I offered, he didn't accept.
He didn't?
I didn't hear from him.
Well, that's funny.
I didn't put it out there.
He also wouldn't debate Matt Dillahunty because he wasn't a doctor, but you are, so that shouldn't be a barrier.
Oh, I'm a doctor. Maybe he'll debate me. It's interesting. There all of these are philosophical arguments, like, and I can't even say them all.
Like the transcendental argument for God and
yeah. Or the cosmological constant or those kind of things. And I go, it's not about whether there's a God or not. It's why would any woman want to believe in Yahweh?
Right. Right.
And Martin Luther in the Protestant Reformation was a misogynist. He said, well, if women die in childbirth, they did their deed. That's fine. Oh. And he wrote an article on Jews and their lies and thought the Jews should all be kicked out of town. And, there's just so many things you can bring up that should be disgusting to women, whereas the men were in charge. I mean, they didn't have it that bad, right, with religion?
Yeah.
So we should have more women. So we need more women writers. We need more women out there and speaking out. And thank you for having me on your show. That's what I'm here for.
No, we were delighted to have you on the show. You actually reached out to us initially, and through just one circumstance after another, your email somehow slipped through the cracks, and then I was going back through and reviewing our emails one day, and I was like, holy shit, we had this wonderful woman author who wanted to come on the show and sent us an email months ago that I didn't even reply to. I feel like a giant asshole right now.
Oh, hey, I'm a dog with a bone. I have a spreadsheet that's color-coded. Tonight, you guys are going to turn purple. Because purple means I've done it. You were pink before, which is pink, it's scheduled and you're interested, but you're going to turn purple tonight.
Awesome.
Now we're royal.
And I've been sharing that with everyone. I don't want somebody else who's a new author to have to go through the work of figuring those all out. You want the spreadsheet of atheist blogs? Let me know. You want the spreadsheet of atheist podcasts? Let me know. I'll share it with you.
That'd be great.
Awesome. Before we let you go, would you mind reading a little bit from your book for us?
Sure. I picked a couple of things to read kind of more about God in general than their own personal experience. So one of them, catastrophic life events occur. People suffer and live in inescapable misery. That God may be acting, quote, mysteriously, unquote, or that God may have a, quote, grand plan, unquote, does not negate that in the meantime, God allows horrendous things to happen to human beings. There is no way to minimize or discount these miseries. To me, human misery is evidence of an arbitrary and random universe, a universe where bad things happen to righteous people, where good things happen to depraved people, where the innocent suffer, where the unexpected and inexplicable govern. A plan, on the other hand, if it existed, would be orderly and logical. A grand plan would be masterful, organized, systematic, and coherent. I do not believe that a loving God would have a grand plan that causes human suffering on such a vast scale. Human misery is evidence of randomness, not of a loving God.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. That was excellent. Yeah, some plan indeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's another one. In writing this memoir, I can reflect that a lot of my spiritual misadventures were based on my trust of others. As a child, I didn't have much say in what to believe. I just followed my family's lead. Once I reached my teens, I was often persuaded by the men I associated with, as many women were during that time in history. If I were born today, I wonder if I would have the courage to say, screw you, to religion much earlier than I did. Alas, I have no time machine to go back and undo my religious upbringing or adult choices. Today, I enjoy the one short life I have, minus the mental shackles of superstition, religion, and gods. And I do believe that people waste a lot of time fretting over the meaning of life. Hey, we're alive! We have just this one precious chance at consciousness. So let's enjoy it and not spend our lives worrying about mystical fairy tales that were created by human beings with the same weaknesses and prejudices we all have inherited.
That was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody should run out and get your book.
It is coming out now. It is in paperback and Kindle and all the electronic versions, and the audiobook version is just about out. So if you really want an audio, check back in a couple weeks. It should be there.
Oh, wonderful. Are you the narrator for the book?
No, my publisher did it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm guessing they can find your book on Amazon.com and other places like that?
Absolutely.
And what else have you got going on? Where else can people find you on the social media?
Well, I'm at Karen_Garst on Twitter. My blog is www.faithlessfeminist.com. And I also have a Faithless Feminist page. My marketing guy, when he told me I had to have a blog and all this social media stuff, I couldn't just write a book, he proposed Godless Grandmother. Oh. And I said, why not emphasize the age? And he came up with Faithless Feminist.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. The book is Women Beyond Belief, Discovering Life Without Religion. Dr. Garst, you've been a delight to have with us.
Oh, it was a pleasure. The pleasure was mine.
Well, thank you again so much.
Hi, this is Justin Schieber, formerly of the Reasonable Doubts podcast and currently of Real Atheology, and you are listening to the Godless Rebelution.
The God of the Gaps argument has always been used to provide a place for God. The idea is that if science can't explain something, then maybe we need to reintroduce God. That's been historically the reason why people even talked about God. God was always an explanation for the things they didn't understand. Now, I don't claim that we understand everything, but we can give a plausible explanation for every question of this sort, rather than the gaps increasing as he was urging. I claim that the gaps have pretty much disappeared.
You and the Godless Rebelution will be reassimilated in 3, 2, 1.
So tonight, being our last episode of the season, we've decided to just kind of make it a
free-for-all?
Kick back, chillax. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still get upset here and there, but a lot less structured than the already low-structured shows we have.
Yeah.
just chit-chatting and stuff as well as covering stories, but
yeah, just more, a little more rambly than usual, a little less polished maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we've never been polished.
A little more natural.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as far as what we're going to cut and everything is going to be a lot less.
Yeah. Yeah, this one will be just very lightly edited.
Oh. So watch what I say.
So it'll still sound good, but there'll be fuck ups, and usually I go through and I listen to the whole thing. We record it, I go and I listen to the whole thing, and I'll cut out some ums and uhs, and where we repeat stuff, where we are speaking and we fuck up on something, and then we'll have to repeat it, re-record, whatever.
We never fuck up.
That'll probably just end up staying in this episode. That'll make my editing time a lot less.
It will. Well,
yeah.
That's one way we could cut it down.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it seriously takes me at least 5 hours, at a minimum 5 hours of editing.
That's crazy, man.
Per show. But this one will be much easier.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
Much easier.
Much easier. Sounds like a Wisconsin thing.
Oh, it is.
Well, let's do some more newsy stuffs.
Okay.
And here we go.
Are we back?
We are back. We have a little bit of feedback from the peoples.
Oh.
From listeners. We didn't mention in our opening segment because I fucking forgot.
Because I went on a 20-minute story about my stupid car.
No, because I'm stupid. Like, I make all these notes, right? And then I pull up pages in front of the notes and forget that I have all of this other shit to talk about or mention. But I appeared as a guest on Jack Maturko's Naked Diner podcast. I know I mentioned that on the show previously, but when I mentioned it, I wasn't sure when he was going to release it, but that is out now.
Yep.
It's been available for a couple weeks, and I have neglected to mention it, but I had a great time on Jack's show. He's a very cool guy. It's episode number 65, if you want to check that out. We talked about the Mormon Moat.
Yeah.
And the Zion Wall. And living in a very religious red state as an atheist, and how to not get burned out on atheist activism, and how toxic a lot of things are in the atheist movement right now, and how to deal with that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was a good time. Had a lot of fun. So definitely go and check that out.
We also learned about all your hidden tattoos. Shh. Oh. Well, it's naked.
Nobody's supposed to know about them. That's why they're hidden.
But you were naked.
Well, it's the Naked Diner, so it's kind of had to go with the territory. We also got a new review on the iTunes. Thank you very much to Excremento, which I fucking love. I love the name.
Yeah.
I believe that's Chris Reed of the Utah Outcasts.
Oh.
At least if the following of his Xbox gamer tag is the same.
Oh, okay.
He goes by Excremento there. But it says, I love Dan, Matt, and Ryan. This is one of Utah's shining examples of podcasts made for this state's counterculture. Thank you very much for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You too, dear listener, can and should go and give us a 5-star rating out on the iTunes or the Stitchers or wherever else you may be finding the show. We would greatly appreciate that. And we have some feedback from listener Aaron Burton.
Oh, yeah. That's where this whole conversation started.
Yes. He sent us a message on Facebook and said, hello, heathens, and that one guy.
Oh, that's an old joke, but that's me.
Of all the topics you've covered, you have changed my opinion on healthcare reform and gun law reform.
All right.
Implying we have any in the first place the most. My newfound beliefs were solidified when I received 2 firearms, a semi-automatic Ruger 1022 and an AR-15 for my 18th birthday last week. I have removed gun ownership from my mind in recent months as I sort out some mental health issues. You guys have done a lot to help me figure out my own views by changing some of my existing ones and solidifying other opposing views. I'm still not sure where I stand on certain issues, but listening to your podcast reminds me that it is okay to take time before changing my views and that neutrality is always an option. Thanks for everything you do. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I'm neutral on everything, so that's perfect.
I have no set position on so many things. No, thank you very much for sending that in, Aaron. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. I'm glad that your beliefs are that you're open to changing your beliefs on things.
Dude, yeah, and you're probably tired of hearing this, but you are still pretty young. You just turned 18. Things will change, things will, and it's good to see that, at least in this message that you agree with us on some things, and we've solidified some opposing views for you, which is also good. Just to know where you stand is a good thing. And that's going to continue for the rest of your life, but you'll get to a place where you have a bigger platform of views that you hold, as you get a little older.
I mean, I guarantee you there are views I held when I was 18, 19, and 20 that have completely changed over time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you only know 3 things, when you're 18. So,
I thought you meant now because I totally at least know 4.
Well, yeah, but that's because you're 30.
True.
You've had those other 12 years to develop that one additional thing.
That's like 50% of your life.
It was. Things develop way slower now.
No, I was thinking about this earlier today. That, I'm 43. It's because when I updated my profile picture.
Yeah.
One of my friends made a comment and said, "You look so young." And I thought, well,
how do I look normally?
How do I look normally? And then I'm not exactly old, am I? I mean, we kind of joke that I'm the oldest one here, clearly, but I don't know. 43 isn't old, is it? Is that old now?
No.
When I'm 15, 43 was old.
Yeah. Well, and I thought, well, I'm only 7 years away from 50. 50's kind of old. It's old-ish.
Well, do you view people who are 50 as being old?
When I was 30, I did. Now that I'm creeping up on 50, I'm like, maybe they're not quite so old.
See, age is relative, just like gravity.
Well, then I thought, too.
It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then I thought, too, like, I can remember, so I'm 43 now, and the other thing that made me think about this is that I was arguing with people online about the death penalty today.
Yeah.
Because of all of Arkansas's shit that they've got going on, where they wanted to do, like, 2-a-day executions for the next little while.
They're going to stop. It's like a fire sale. Like, hey, we're no longer able to sell this. Let's use it all up.
Gotta kill them while we can.
Mm-hmm.
But that was struck down by the courts and whatever. And so somebody had posted in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, talking about, what are your views on the death penalty? And they posted a poll, and, it's totally against it, totally in favor, ambivalent, whatever other answers people put in there. And then there was the big discussion, and so I, made some comments in there, and it struck me that a lot of the younger people who were commenting, and I say younger, I'm guessing they're early to mid 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are just so fucking bloodthirsty. It was shocking to me that they're like, yeah, fucking kill them all. And let's not stop at murderers. Let's also kill, child molesters and rapists. And I'm like, okay, well, it's a terribly unfortunate view for you to hold. Can you explain why? And blah, blah, blah. But it made me think that, so I'm 43 now, and I feel so much wiser than looking back at the views I had when I was even 30, 35, that I've learned so much and feel like I've matured so much and grown so much in what I know and what I've learned over that time, and how my views have shifted and changed, and that it seems like every time I look back at my life and the things that I used to believe, that, I can look at something as recent as 10 years ago and go, man, I was pretty fucking stupid and naive back then. Yeah, and that's when I was 30,
Yeah, it's like every couple of years you look back and realize what an idiot you were a couple of years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, what is it today? What is it about what I believe today that I'll look back on and go, man, I was a fucking jackass.
Mm-hmm.
What an idiot asshole I was to think that. I don't know. Of course, I think my views have gotten progressively progressive.
Mm-hmm.
And more, I don't know, more nice, more accommodating. Like, People are people, man.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody fucks up and does stupid shit, and
I bet you'll look back and wonder why
I'm a lot less
why you
judgmental,
thought
I
cargo shorts were cool. I bet that's what it'll be.
hey, man, I ordered a bunch of these fuckers.
What about cargo pants?
You're not wearing them.
Cargo
Well, not
pants
right
are
now.
the worst.
Well, that's
Unless
what
you're camping.
Well, when I'm camping or if I'm working on like a film project, I usually like to wear cargo pants because that way I can throw
Hold your cargo.
tape or tools.
What
in
other
the
kind
pockets.
of shorts are there?
That's a good question.
Cargo shorts are it, man. Cargo
Yeah.
shorts and swim trunks. Those are like the two kinds of short pants, right?
Short shorts.
Yeah.
Isn't it? What well, then you got
Jorts.
yeah.
Well, there's
Those are
sailor
awesome.
shorts.
What are sailor shorts?
I don't know. Sailors apparently have special shoes and shorts and pants.
Oh, aren't those just like the white flat front? Just
I don't know. I've
like
never sailed. I just hear they got special
mid-thigh.
clothes.
Oh,
I just wear like normal shorts.
what
Not like swim shorts, not cargo shorts.
what do
Just
they look
normal fucking shorts.
Like? What do they look like?
I just
I
don't
don't
wear
know.
shorts.
They're all different. Some have like different designs on them. Some are more plain.
So it's like they're like the bottoms of like Hawaiian shirts. I just drew on my cargo shorts on accident.
Good thing it's not a permanent pen.
No, like do you different colors and patterns?
Oh, that's 80s shorts.
Oh, well, I forgot. Colors isn't really, but
Yeah, that's not.
is
really
this?
a
Are
thing
are
for
you
me.
asking me seriously, or are you trying to lead into a joke? Because
No, my fashion sense is a joke. I'm asking.
has been tonight.
For me, like cargo shorts are it. Cargo shorts and swim trunks. That's
Yeah, they actually suit you. It's fine. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
they're great, man. You got tons of pockets for shit.
Yeah.
Take them golfing.
Put beers in them?
Yeah, beers, my phone, golf balls, gloves, all that shit.
Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah, it's very utilitarian.
And very 95.
Hey.
Yeah, they're still making them. These were made like very recently.
Well, they still make mom jeans too, but
They're coming back in style.
true. I've seen a lot of younger women wearing the
70s
mom
style
jeans,
mom jeans.
pulled up
yeah.
really.
Mm-hmm.
They look awful, I think, but I wear cargo shorts, so what the fuck do I know?
And I skip shorts altogether.
You don't ever wear shorts?
No.
Why?
Ugly fucking legs.
Oh.
What?
Plus, I tattooed myself, so those don't look very good.
Oh, you tattooed your own? Oh, I think you showed us your
Yeah.
tattooed legs before.
Yeah.
Maybe camping with you one time?
Well, when we went, I think we went on the boat. I think I put swim trunks on so I could jump in the water.
Oh.
So that's about the only time I wear shorts is for swimming or if I'm going to the gym.
I think that is when I saw your self tattoos.
Yeah.
Those are you have hidden tattoos
Well, you saw them. How were they hidden?
most of the time.
Well, yeah, but most of my tattoos are hidden most of the time. I don't come over here naked.
Are you sure?
Well, I haven't taken Ambien here yet.
We have some news stories. This one was sent in to us from listener Brandy. It is a story set in Arizona. Arizona State Rep gave a godless invocation, so her colleague said a Christian prayer to correct her.
Which fucking pisses me off. 'Cause this has happened before.
This comes to us not only from lovely listener Brandy, but this was published out on the Friendly Atheist blog. It says that back in 2013, Arizona State Rep Juan Mendez delivered an atheist invocation to the House in which he urged his colleagues to not bow their heads, look around at the men and women in the room working to make lives better for the people in their state, and root their policy-making process in these values that are relevant to all Arizonans regardless of religious belief or non-belief.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty harmless stuff all around.
Yeah.
But the day after he gave that invocation, Republican State Rep Steve Smith lashed out against Mendez. He said if Mendez did not want to offer a prayer, he should have skipped his turn in what had traditionally been a rotation among members.
I feel it coming.
And to make up for that lack, Smith insisted Wednesday on offering a prayer, actually the second for the day, for repentance of yesterday. Asking asked colleagues.
I think it's a typo.
I'm guessing it means to say he asked colleagues to stand and give our due respect to the creator of the universe.
Oh, God.
Fuck you, Steve.
Well, but I mean, it's also that, like, you know, he's saying, well, if you didn't want to say a prayer, you should have got out of line and let the other people take their... You shouldn't be having prayers in the first fucking place. Okay?
Yeah.
So you're breaking the rules, and this person is actually still accommodating you by having a prayer, even though it doesn't recognize the creator of the universe.
You sound like Dan Morris there. I'm sorry, Dr. Dan Morris.
Oh, God, this is going to go on forever.
We should get Stu over there to kick their ass.
we'll talk about it on several different shows, and then, you know, next month
I know where this is
or in June when they release their next episode, we may get a reply from them.
If they've heard it by then, yeah.
The story continues and says, let me say that again because it's batshit insane. Smith was so angry that a humanist delivered an invocation that he delivered a second Christian prayer the next day to make up for what Mendez did.
Mm-hmm.
How dare Mendez?
Because God's keeping score.
Oh,
does Smith have the power to do that? I mean,
apparently, well,
he's
he
a
must.
Republican.
He did it.
Well, what I'm saying is in the theology, you know, like, does that work? Can you just
to just wipe out?
Yeah, can you cast another spell on somebody and then because then if you can, then please do that to the entire earth and make everything better.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, otherwise it doesn't work, and shut your fucking stupid mouth.
Well, demon casting out spells only has a certain time length that works
Karen
for.
is going to be so mad.
And range.
Oh, it's got a limited...
It's got a limited range on it.
Well, they need to fucking get off the Wi-Fi.
Well, it can't have a limited range because, well...
Yeah, how far is the creator of the universe?
That's why they
away from everybody.
That's why they have prayer groups to help someone in the hospital, because it increases the range of the prayer to reach the hospital.
Oh, like amplifying.
Yeah.
Huh.
They get in a circle and they start chanting and they sacrifice a lamb.
Well, I think I've mentioned it before, but you would think that they could get together a determined number of people to all say the same prayer that basically would just say, make everything good and everybody happy. No more natural catastrophes, no more cancer, no more wars, right? And they would only have to do it one time. Like, does God forget?
Well,
is he just like playing marbles with the other planets and other galaxies? And he's like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Yeah, man, I forgot. There's going to be an earthquake next Thursday. Sorry, I was totally like catching some sweet waves.
Well, surfer stoner God.
Those are all because of the Facebook likes.
Oh.
He didn't get 1 million, so fuck you. Here's a hurricane.
What about before Facebook? What was the excuse?
We didn't have Facebook.
You are brilliant.
Yeah. He said, fuck you for not creating Facebook to worship me like the fucking god I am. I'm going to fuck you up with a tornado today.
This seriously has as much internal consistency as what they really fucking believe.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, prayer never made any sense to me, even when I was, you know, kind of a quasi-believer. Like, it just didn't fucking make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And this guy, who I assume is an adult, thinks it's so fucking powerful that he can just override the atheist prayer or whatever with his own spell. Yeah.
He's resetting the previous day with his spell.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we talked about it, 4 weeks ago, when the witches were outside of the White House doing their things, and then the other Christians came in there with their mirrors and like saying, I rebuke you. And like for some reason their pocket makeup mirror would throw the curse back at them.
I was born of rubber and you are born of glue. Whatever you pray.
I mean, these are the ultimate, what is it, role-playing people that then they go and then they throw like
LARPers.
lightning bolts. LARPers.
Bible LARPers.
Yeah,
Bible LARPers.
Matt's mentioned Bible LARPing before.
That's all it is. I mean, they even got their book of codes they gotta use to rebuke these things, and it's their rule book.
Lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Lightning bolt.
Okay, we got to do it this summer. I like making videos. We are so going to get people together, and we're going to make a LARPing video based on a Bible LARP game.
Oh, jeez.
That would
Demons
be fun.
versus angels.
That'd be fun. We could do that during the camping trip if you're going to go.
When was that? I might be getting my sleeve done then.
I'd have to look at the
because it's usually around the last weekend in July, right?
June-ish?
Is it June?
Yeah, I think it is the last week in July.
Because that's usually because I got my tattoo scheduled for that last Saturday in July. My last inking of the whole 18-hour process.
Not doing your legs so that you can wear shorts. You're
doing
finishing
my
your
whole
arm.
right arm is going to be covered then.
Oh.
So
completing the sleeve.
Yeah, it'll be a painful week. I'm getting the entire thing done in 3 sittings, all in the same week.
Lots of ink.
Yeah, 3 6-hour sessions.
Wow.
2 of them in a row.
And you've already got that booked.
Already booked. Well, the guy was he's coming in from Miami to do tattoos in Utah for a little while, so he was already quite booked, and he only had so many days left where he could fit in a full sleeve tattoo. So.
How long does it take him to do a tramp stamp?
About 15
I mean,
minutes.
the last time you got one, how long?
15 minutes.
Okay. Because it's just a couple words or...
Those butterflies look really good for that short amount of time.
I thought they were fairies.
Oh.
Well, no, but the lettering was what takes the time.
Oh, because it's a lot more precise.
It is. You don't want to have squiggly lines.
Yeah. And wings, they move and shit, so
yeah.
They don't have to be as uniform.
And when he wanted it to say enjoy the ride, you really want it to be written out well. I know a guy who actually had that done. And he's not gay. And we were like, why did you get enjoy the ride tattooed on your lower back? Like, well, because I like to go, like, it's a motorcycle thing and like surfing and stuff. I'm like, it's on your lower back. Where if someone can really read it well,
who's see that?
if you're, you
Is there something you need to tell us? I mean, we're open-minded, man. Come on, this is a safe space.
No,
so like the joke is that he takes really big poops, or what is it? What do you mean? What are you guys talking about?
Well, if I keep going, it's going to get really offensive.
Oh, Karen is going to hate us after this. And this is like worse than normal too.
Worse
than a normal show.
We're awful, but this is worse.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get on with this horrible fiasco.
Okay.
No, I wonder if the video is his thing rebuking the previous days, or if it's the previous days in the video.
I don't know. There's still a little bit of text in here.
Yeah.
It says, imagine if a Muslim American politician tried to correct his Christian colleague the same way, and you get a sense of how much of a dick move that was. But respect aside, Smith's argument was essentially that all invocations had to be religious ones, specifically Christian ones. It's that mentality that Mendez was trying to push back against.
Has Smith not been around long enough, like in the last 6 months in Arizona, to know that that's fucking not the way it should be done? God, they have this problem every few months or a couple years, right?
Well, this was a while ago with Mendez.
Right.
Yeah, that was in 2013 with Mendez.
All right.
And he actually came out to the atheists convention in DC and spoke. But it's happened again. Yesterday, State Rep Athena Salmon delivered a godless invocation of her own. Salmon, as readers may recall, is the openly atheist candidate who ran to replace Mendez when he campaigned for a seat in the state Senate. Both won their races.
All right.
Yay!
Yeah.
Her invocation was really wonderful, too. It was written by James Avery Fuchs, who works with the Humanist Society of Greater Phoenix. We're gonna play some of that now.
But I wish these fucking thick-skulled Christians would just understand that if you get rid of it, this doesn't happen. It gets rid of the problem. You don't have to cast your fucking stupid spells, and they don't have to do a godless invocation. You just get on with the goddamn work you're there to do in the first fucking place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't waste your time with all of this other nonsense.
But if they don't cast a spell, the demon's going to come in and make bad laws.
Then do it at home or on your way to work.
But
say a prayer in your car the whole way to the fucking state building.
But then everyone else won't know how godly you are.
Jiggle your rosary beads in your pocket.
That's not the rosary beads he's jiggling.
Oh, Jesus, that's a 17-minute video. I don't want to play a 17-minute video.
Did she do a 17-minute invocation?
I don't know, but I'm not playing 17 minutes of that. I'll read some more text. It says, take a moment to look around
that'll be way better.
Take a moment to look around you at the people gathered here today. We come from a variety of backgrounds and interests, but the passion that ignites us, the fire that burns within us, is similar. We all seek to form a more perfect union, creating change from an abiding passion to improve the lives of the humans of this city. There is wonder in that. More importantly, though, there is unity. In a nation often eager to be polarized in its views, allow us in this moment to recognize what we have in common, a deep-seated need to help create a more just and positive world. As we speak today, remember that commonality. Remember the humanity that resides within each and every person here and each and every person in the city and in all people in the nation and world as a whole. In the words of former president of Illinois Wesleyan University, Minor Myers Jr., go forth and do well, but even more, go forth and do good. Thank you.
Very well said.
What's to object about that?
Sounds like a lovely invocation.
She didn't ask Jeebus for any help in there.
Yes, she clearly misspelled the word God at the end and used the word good. So we have to do a do-over.
Yeah.
And get Jesus' name in there as well. Because if Jesus' name isn't in there and you've already replaced God with good, well, that's no good, even though it says good, but we got to change it so it's better.
So go forth and do God.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful speech, and once again, there's nothing offensive in it. If you didn't know the source, you wouldn't even be able to tell it was delivered by an atheist, yet it somehow offended a Republican. Weird, right?
You know what?
A Republican being offended.
We're doing too much placating.
Snowflakes.
We're doing too much placating already. Someone needs to get up there and say, there's no God. This is all bullshit. We're not doing one of your stupid prayers today. We're doing one of ours, which is just to say, hey, let's be nice to each other. Let's give them something to be fucking offended about. If they're constantly looking for stuff, because the problem is we're being so nice to them already, and we're basically giving them a Christian prayer without the specific words, and they're throwing a fucking fit about it. Let's really make it an atheist prayer. See what happens then.
You guys have wasted how many hours over the last how many times that we've gotten together for this invocation? You've wasted all that time and taxpayer resources praying to a non-existent being who, even if it existed, clearly does not give a shit about what the fuck we're doing here.
It's not working.
Then end it with an all hail Sagan.
How many Christian prayers will it take to actually heal the world?
Right.
How long will it take? You've had 2,000 fucking years.
Yeah.
Because remembering other people's humanity and doing good and creating a more just and positive world go against this party's principles, though that's not the excuse he gave.
Sure.
Salmon's invocation didn't strike Representative Mark Fincham, Republican of Oro Valley, as a real prayer.
Oh, okay.
And apparently it doesn't fit with House rules. Fincham sought and was given permission to offer his own invocation. He invoked Jesus. Afterwards, House Majority Leader John Allen, Republican from Scottsdale, reminded the 60 lawmakers that he had issued guidance earlier this year on prayers. They should be short, accompanied by an interpretation if delivered in another language, and must invoke a higher power.
Fuck you.
How is that okay? If a lawmaker has no personal investment in a higher power, Allen said, ask the members to focus on theirs. I know it's difficult to understand, but a prayer should be to a higher power, said Allen. Who said he is a Christian? Shocker.
Yeah, imagine that.
If you don't want to pray, don't sign up for the prayer. Even if that's the rule, the fact that it automatically excludes atheists from delivering an invocation unless they ask other people to pray to God reeks of Christian privilege. As if the religious right would ever be okay with the government telling Christians to focus on the religious beliefs of Muslims during their own invocations.
Right.
Kudos to Salmon's colleagues who stood up for her on the House floor and denounced Fincham's Christ-splaining. And if you watch the end of that video, Salmon stands up and says that she absolutely addressed her prayers to a higher power. Goodness and humanity is a higher power to me.
Nice.
Boom. When Salmon asked House Speaker J.D. Mesnard if she violated the rules, he said that she did. I believe you didn't do the prayer.
What? That was the answer? I believe you didn't do the prayer?
What is the prayer?
That's what a fucking House Speaker said?
You didn't do the prayer. The prayer.
I believe you didn't do the prayer.
Yeah. J.D. Mesnard. Wow. As of this writing, Salmon hasn't released a statement, but Juan Mendez has via email. This is now the 5th year in a row that a non-theist has given an opening prayer in the Arizona House of Representatives, and the 5th year that Republicans have been openly hostile to those voices. This is a clear example of religious oppression and an attempt to deny non-theistic Arizonans a place at the table.
Mm-hmm.
The Republican leadership's response to Representative Salmon's prayer, a beautiful invocation written by a young trans man who belongs to my humanist community, is discrimination. Religious liberty has to be extended to everyone, even those of us who belong to the secular community.
Yeah, whether you agree with the views or not. That is the crux of freedom.
The Secular Coalition for Arizona and Spectrum Experience, a consulting firm, plan to hold a press conference tomorrow morning outside the state capitol where they, along with many faith and non-faith leaders in the community, will read the rule-breaking prayer Salmon delivered this week. The rule-breaking prayer Salmon delivered this week, sorry. You can get the details by clicking on this link that I'm pointing at on the screen.
It says right here, Dan.
So go there and get more details on it.
Huh.
It's on our Facebook page.
I think you're absolutely right, though, man. Why doesn't somebody, instead of trying to deliver a flowery thing that's like, see, I can deliver a nice little speech that makes everybody happy too. Why are you wasting your time doing that at all? I think it would be awesome if somebody got up there and just said, you know what? We've wasted, I don't know how many man hours or people hours doing this bullshit at the start of each legislative session. And it hasn't done a goddamn thing.
Yep.
Because there is no fucking God and you're all stupid.
It's helped us zero so far.
Yeah.
So, to keep holding these Christian prayers. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? I don't believe you prayed right.
I don't think so either. He still looks ugly.
Yeah, and it's still not fucking working.
That was insensitive of me. He might not be ugly. I don't know. I didn't even see him.
Oh, that's a mirror.
Yeah, so he's beautiful.
Why did you look at this?
I was like,
oh,
what?
that's a mirror. Oh, where? Huh?
It's like, what did we? I thought that was his name was Amir.
Oh, Amir?
Yeah.
But thank you very much for sending that in to us, Brandy. We appreciate it very much.
It only took us 45 minutes to get through because we just bullshitted the whole story. But yes, thank you.
Oh, very much. Oh, very much.
Hi, this is Yvette Dontremont, aka the Cybabe, and you're listening to Godless Rebelution. You can find me at cybabe.com, at my Twitter account at the Cybabe, and if you've hunt really hard, you can find me at Pornhub. I dare you.
The next rant will start right after this.
Not think it's so simple, and then you're overthinking it.
I just think it was hilarious that I was like fucking, I was totally fucking around with you. Like, what's 47 minus 25? And
I was like,
let's
go with the quickest answer I can think. I'm like, it's 20 something. It's like,
it's really close. I mean, if you were doing something, you just had to kind of get a close estimate. You'd have been,
which is usually what my job is. I just gotta get close.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just aiming hoses at hot stuff.
Well, we got to do
the wet stuff on the hot stuff.
Our mental equations in our head going, well, we got this diameter hose and it's this length.
Yeah.
So that means, and we're going up a hill and we got this kind of appliance on there. And this is the nozzle I have on there. So the friction loss from here to there is going to be this. So I need to give them this much pressure at the pump to get them this much water in gallons at the end of the nozzle. So we just got to do all that mentally in about 10 seconds.
I didn't realize that any of that was involved with firefighting.
Like, so our 1 3/4 hose that we use that are normally entering into buildings and stuff.
My hose is about 1 3/4.
I know. For every 100 feet of hose, we usually figure it's, on average, it's 15 PSI is lost just traveling 100 feet. So if you got 200 feet of that hose
and
out
that's
there,
just due to friction in the hose
that's just due to friction in the hose itself.
Wow.
So at 200...
And that's just flat.
Just laying flat on the ground.
Okay.
So
it doesn't matter. Incline doesn't.
Well, then you got to figure that out.
Okay.
So if you got 200 feet of hose out, you're figuring, okay, that's 30 psi of friction loss right there. Then depending on what kind of nozzle you got on, if it's really restrictive, if it's really open, that's another 5 or 10 psi there. Then for every level or flight of stairs you're going up, or for every 10 feet of incline, it's another 10 psi.
That you're either dropping or gaining?
Then you got to raise it. So if they're going up, you're losing another 10 psi, so you got to crank up another 10 psi for every floor you're going up. But then if you're going into a standpipe into the building, which goes up to all the levels, that's a different pressure you got to pump into that at. And then depending on what kind of hose they bring in there with the appliance to hook it up to, you got to figure out the friction loss for all that. Or if they're taking...
I had no idea you guys did any of that. I thought it was just pull hose off truck, aim at hot stuff.
No, there's a lot of
like
math
Matt
to
said,
it.
put the wet stuff on the hot
I mean, because there's all the mathematical equations. You take the square footage of the room and divide it by 2, and that's the amount of gallons per minute you need in a residential space to put the fire out correctly. So depending on the size of the building, it's going to depend on the size of the hose you bring in or how many hoses you bring in to put the amount of gallons of water you need. So if you got a really large building, I'm like, well, that truck there can only put out 1,200 gallons per minute. Plus, we got to figure out how much water we're taking in from the hydrant to know, hey, can we even get out 1,200 gallons per minute? So we might need to get a second fire truck in here on the second hydrant loop so we're not both stealing water from each other to be able to get enough water in there.
I had no idea that any of that came into account at all.
That's like most of my job is figuring out, okay, what do I need to set this at in this truck? Then is figuring out, okay, how many lines do I got going off the truck, and can I supply another operation?
Well, you've been real good with numbers on the show so far, so.
I know. I haven't blown up a pump yet.
That's good.
Well, because if you're putting out more water than you're taking in, you can cavitate your pump. So if you start sucking,
that sounds pretty serious.
It's pretty much taking the pump and going, collapsing it.
How much penicide does that take?
Not a lot.
Welcome back to Fire Chat with Matt, Dan, and Ryan.
Well, because the pump needs water to run, and if your hydrant is not giving you enough water to take in, and you're putting out more, you're going to start sucking air through the line because the hydrant isn't keeping up with your demand. So you'll start getting air introduced into the pump. If you keep doing that, pump doesn't like air; it likes water, and it'll cavitate the pump. It'll actually like implode itself.
And that's if it has air in it?
If you're sucking air in, you'll implode the pump.
Where would you be sucking air into it, though?
Through the water line.
Let's not have any more follow-up questions.
Okay, so...
It's already been 30 minutes.
So you're hooked into the hydrant. Hydrants can only give you so much water. If you're sucking more water out of that hydrant than it can give you, there's only so much water there. It's like if you're sucking...
But where does the air come
from? You're draining the hydrant.
Aren't there pipes that go to the hydrant though? Like, I mean, it's a closed system, right?
It not technically, like it's got a water tower. It's got to let air out while you're pulling stuff in. It's like if you're trying to think of how to explain it.
So like if you put a milk jug upside down and you're just sucking water out, there's no way to get air to replace the volume of water that's left.
And that's the thing is, so whatever your water source is,
and so that's why your pump would collapse.
That's why your pump would collapse because
it just builds up the negative pressure, and
because whatever your water source isn't able to feed that hydrant with enough water to keep up with how much you're sucking out. So eventually, it's going to introduce air into the system.
This is all cool shit, man. I had no idea.
And air does not go well with fire trucks. Like most everything on there has air bleeders. So you open it up until air stops bleeding out, then you close it, and then you let the water in.
Yeah, that's really cool. I had no idea that any of that happened.
Yeah, we're not just dumb guys pulling lines off of there, going all John Wayne into a burning building.
So you guys are sexy and smart.
I was going to say, you're not merely that, but you are that sort of. I mean, there is an element of that in firefighters for sure.
I think people see the movie side of it and then don't see, like, if the building's on fire and there's nobody inside of it and they're like, we're not going to go in and kill ourselves.
So... is it true that all firefighters smoke? That's a big.
Oh yeah,
stereotype.
They had a smoking room at the fire department at Hill before I got there.
Oh yeah,
like 90% of the department smoked. They had a hookah lounge in Dugway. In the station, the fire station had a hookah lounge. Now, with going through physicals and being healthier and realizing, oh shit, everything gives us cancer. Why have one more thing give us cancer?
Yeah.
Most people in departments have quit. I think at Hill, I mean, at Dugway, there's only like 3 guys in the whole department that smoke.
At Dugway?
Yeah. There's also only 25 guys in the department. But
that's like 20%.
One of them's a chief, so he doesn't actually do anything. But yeah, it is close. It's a little more than 20. It's about 23%.
Oh.
Are we recording this for the show? No.
I'm gonna include all that shit. That's education. That's educational.
Thanks for listening. Now back to the show.
You guys want to do Kevin Swanson?
Sure.
We got Kevin Swanson. We got Robert McGinnis, Rick Wiles.
Let's do Swanson.
Swanson? Okay.
This one's pretty ragey.
Yeah, he's just
so insane.
Well, I think that it's almost like he's so far crazy on some of this stuff that it seems like he's pretty obviously covering up for some things that he may be dealing with himself. But in this one, he says the pastors who have gay children must resign. You can't have gay kids and be a pastor because that reflects negative. What does that have to do with anything? I'm curious to know why he would say that. Oh, and this is SoundCloud, so we gotta
wait. So what if you're an atheist and you have Christian kids? Could you be a pastor then?
Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah.
That is a very good question. I mean,
if that's all that matters.
Only if the kids stone you to death, though, for being an atheist.
Right.
Well, if they don't,
is that biblical?
It is now. As we know, you can just make shit up in the Bible.
Oh, okay.
They did. Why can't I?
Right.
True. Wrong?
Probably wrong.
No, true. It sounds right to me.
I'm trying to find that goddamn clip.
Yeah, I see Kevin. Well, he's got a lot of stuff on there.
I wouldn't find the word gay, but
oh, there it is. Yeah.
There it is. Let's see what he says.
Here's an article making the rounds, Bill, especially on homosexual sites right now. There's a pastor in North Carolina has come out and said, if I have gay kids,
and your mic's
this is
hot.
How I'm going to deal with it.
No,
now, as I'm reading the article, the
very
first thing I
essy.
note, okay, these are,
he needs
this
a
is
de-esser.
a young pastor. Yeah. He's got 2 young children. See the picture of his family there on the blog. And he says, if my kids come out of the closet, this is what I promise to do if they turn out to be gay. And as I read the article, the first thing I'm looking for is sackcloth and ashes. I mean,
remember when he said that he would cover himself in sackcloth and ashes? What an asshole. Yeah, he needs a de-esser on that shit. Better microphone, little less hot. He needs somebody like Ryan controlling how his shit sounds.
Hell yeah.
Tearing of the clothes, crying out to God for mercy, repentance himself as if there's,
or maybe just not hit the S's so fucking hard for every fucking thing that he says.
Maybe he has a lisp.
Maybe he has a lisp?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, it doesn't really sound like a lisp so much as just...
Wait, they use overcompensating for, so now he just...
Well, if it is a lisp, it's not a TH lisp.
No.
Yeah, he sounds like Ka.
Like Ka? What's Ka?
Khan?
I hope I said that right. Wasn't Ka the Python in Jungle Book?
Is that the name of the... Ka?
K-A-A, right? Isn't it? Something like that?
It is something like that. I don't know if Ka is right, though. I think it is.
Well,
anyway.
You can Google it.
Yeah, we could. Well, all right, I'll fucking Google it. Let's see. Because this is a kickback episode.
Yeah. This is why we get off on tangents.
Snake in Jungle Book. Ka. You're right.
Uh-huh.
Hence why I pushed for Googling. I love when that happens.
We could see if I'm right, because I know I am.
Uh-huh.
That's how that works with Matt. Where did I go?
Right there.
There it is.
There we go.
All right.
Something wrong with us, as if there's something wrong with us corporately, first of all, as if maybe there's something wrong with our entire society, as if maybe there's something terribly wrong with our church, as if there's something maybe terribly wrong with our family, something terribly wrong in the generations of our family, something terribly wrong in me. Not even a clue that there may be something very, very wrong with this pastor himself. He doesn't start with himself. He doesn't see himself to be a sinner before God.
Wow.
He's not.
Sounded like he got possessed for a second.
Yeah,
there.
that got intense quick.
He doesn't start with himself.
He was, yeah.
Not on his face before God, crying out, tearing his clothes, sackcloth and ashes, saying, God, have mercy on us. What has happened to us? God, you have turned us over to your judgment.
It sounds like he's doing a dramatic reading of a crazy person.
Yeah, he sounds like a lunatic.
I almost feel like he's got a hand puppet he's letting do the talking right now.
Now, Mr. Hand, relax.
Calm down.
It's not that important.
What have you done? Why have you done this? What have we done? What have we become, God? Our hearts are deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. God, have mercy on us sinners. This is what I don't find in these articles.
Wow.
he's pretty special in this one.
I'm really thinking he has some other underlining issues besides his S's.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's
and religion. There's something else there.
No, clearly I'm no clinical psychologist or psychiatrist, but I would guess that this guy has got some real issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, some mental health stuff.
And Bill, for this reason, I have very little hope for the Pharisees that make up a society that see themselves to be just fine. Thank you very much. Just fine. This is one of the most pharisaical articles I think I've ever read in my...
Pharisaical?
Yeah, he almost seems like he's turning into the Joker.
Just fine. He does sound a little like Mark Hamill doing some dramatic things. Yeah.
This is one of the most pharisaical articles I think I've ever read in my life. A man who thinks there's a possibility his kids would come out gay and then not turn to himself and see himself and there to be something of a problem with himself.
There's nothing wrong with your kids who are gay. Mm-hmm. So why the fuck would he have to look at himself to wonder what is wrong that made his kids gay? There's nothing fucking wrong with that.
If anything, if his kids come out to him and say, "Hey, Dad, I'm gay, and I feel comfortable talking to you about this," probably means he did a good parenting job because his kids trust him and know, "Hey, if I can trust my father not to go crazy on me for coming forward and letting him know this, even though it's against his religion."
I wonder if it's like, he's thinking of like spiritual, something spiritually wrong with the father, obviously, right? Because the sins of the father will be visited on the children or whatever. So if the children are exhibiting symptoms, then it's the sins of the father in a spiritual. I don't know.
Or maybe that the father just didn't raise them right, didn't raise them to be straight,
to be men.
Didn't raise them to be good God-fearing Christians who know that it's a sin to be gay, and they would have done everything that they could to make sure that their children didn't turn out that way, and the children would have known that as well. And so clearly it's the parents' problem.
Maybe. I don't know.
So, I don't know if it's time to talk about the rest of it, but
I mean, he says, if I have gay children, I'll pray for them. Now, that's interesting. That's good. He says, I won't pray for them to be made normal. Wait a minute. I've lived long enough to know that if my children are gay, that is their normal.
Yeah.
Now that
I won't pray that God will heal them, change them, or fix them. Why? Because he's not a sinner and his kids aren't sinners. That's his fundamental belief. Now, he may be Pelagian to the core, to the extent that he believes children are born innocent.
Pelagian? What the fuck is that?
I think it's a biblical thing.
He may be Pelagian to the core? This is a new term for me.
Me too.
I don't know what that is.
And sin is not an issue, and man can save himself. But whatever the case, what's missing here is this man's not going to pray for his kid's salvation. He's not going to pray that his kids will be saved. I don't see that anywhere here.
Nor
his kids don't need to be saved. You know why his kids don't need to be saved?
Because they're sweet.
Because they're sweet.
Yeah.
They're not sinners.
They're not the sweetest examples of original sin that ever walked the face of the earth. They're just sweet.
Yeah.
So
I'm still, I don't understand their conversation.
Yeah.
Because what they're saying right now seems like what a rational, healthy person would say who has no problem with gay people.
Yeah.
That Well, they're sweet kids. They don't have.
They're not saying that
how
seriously.
This guy is acting like
they're saying that's the problem with the father. He's
that he's a decent human being.
Yes,
no, they're
exactly.
They're saying that the problem with him is that he's not going to pray for his kids. Why won't he pray for his kids? Oh, because his kids are just sweet. They don't need to be prayed for. They're not. What did he say? He said something about the original sin or whatever.
Well,
they're not sinners.
Sinners.
That's what I was going to bring. The Pelagianism is the belief that original sin did not taint human nature, and that mortal will is still capable of choosing good or evil without special divine aid. So, where some people believe, hey, you're born with sin. Pelagianism believes you're not born with sin. And you have the choice to choose good or evil. So you have the choice to sin or the choice to do good.
So it's correct in saying that nobody's born with original sin, wrong in saying that we have
sin.
Free will.
Right.
That's interesting, though. I hadn't ever heard that term.
I've heard the term before, but I never looked it up.
I don't know.
I don't think that I've ever heard it.
I don't know that I've ever encountered it. Yeah.
Well, I got the super uber Catholic guy who posts all crazy stuff, and I think I've heard him post about complaining about shit like that, and he complains about everything that isn't his religion.
Yeah.
Their hearts are not deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. He doesn't believe in the depravity of mankind or the depravity of his children. He trusts his own heart, and he trusts the heart of his children. Fundamentally,
the heart is deceitful above all else and is desperately sick. He doesn't classify homosexuality as a sin as the Bible does, so therefore he's not going to proclaim the truth that homosexuality is a sin to.
That's something that bothers me about gay people who choose to remain religious or hold on to religious ideals.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
But they're returning to a church and a belief system that is fundamentally opposed to who they are as a person.
Well, I think it depends on the flavor of the religion they choose to stay with.
If it's based on the Bible, it doesn't matter.
Or the Quran.
Yeah.
But that's true of every human that stays in religion to a lesser degree if they're not gay. But every human is depraved, as you hear them talking. Every human is born in original sin. Every human is wicked and evil and needs redemption. It's the crux of, well, literally and figuratively, the crux of the whole thing is that humans are terrible, and I kind of agree. But just generally speaking, that all humans are terrible, evil, wicked, and require spiritual redemption. Without that, there isn't a religion. And the fact that
in order to achieve that redemption,
and so
you gotta pray to that
any human that clings to religion is in some way not self-interested. I mean, it is worse if you're female. It's worse if you're homosexual. It's those kinds of, yes.
Yeah.
But it's true of all humans that there's a self-deprecation that goes along with being religious.
But I mean, couldn't you still have a religion without that kind of shit? Like, that just says we worship an almighty creator because of the many blessings he's given us, the things he's created, breathing us into life, even that we want to pay thanks that we're here on this wonderful planet and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
and we're here to make things better for everybody, you're all sinners. You're all going to burn in hell unless you subjugate yourselves in abject worship of this invisible sky wizard.
You just described paganism.
I guess so. Sure.
So, I mean, there are religions that do that, but none of the monotheistic ones for sure. And most of the others are just as bad.
I think that's why, like I said, you choose your flavor of Kool-Aid. Some of them will, they all cherry pick what they want to believe and what they don't want to believe.
Why are they all choosing the shit flavored one?
Well, this is the really shit flavored one. The other guy took a mildly shit flavored one.
Well, it's got the biggest stick, but it also has the biggest carrot too, right? At least in their eyes. But this eternal glory and favor from the creator of the universe.
Well, but I mean, you have other less fundamentalist wackaloon Christian denominations than this, right?
Yeah.
That don't do all of the fire and brimstone shit necessarily.
But it's still
and
all
they still get the rewards.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's still all based on the fact on the fulcrum of requiring redemption from this awful state that we're in.
Well,
it all hinges on that.
Just like we were talking about during an interview where there's those, was pastor up in Oregon who's an atheist and still preaches.
Did you say pasture?
I did. Pastor, priest.
Oh, fuck. I can't remember what it was that you said last week. And I'm like, did you just say? And you're like, no, I don't think so. And when I was listening to it, you sure as shit did.
I probably did say, but like, nope, not me. Didn't say that.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But no, it's like she was talking about with the atheist church leaders that they got up in there in Oregon and a couple other places.
Huh.
They're atheists. They don't believe in, the divineness of God, but they still preach in a church.
Yeah, they do more humanist.
Yeah. But they're also,
yeah.
That's what I say, they're trying to get them, defrocked or take away their
disassociated, excommunicated.
They're fighting it. Like, no, I'm going to still keep preaching. I'm just not going to be preaching supernatural aspects of this stuff.
None of the caca.
So, I mean, that's still a church that doesn't follow any supernatural beliefs. They chose the very littlest amount of shit in their Kool-Aid.
The tiny amount.
Yeah, but in a certain sense, it doesn't really qualify as Christianity either, because you've gotten rid of the crucifixion.
Well, true.
Which is the whole. That was why Christ was here, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're looking at the core of Christianity is Christ, the reason Christ was here was to be born and die for our sins and redeem us all. So if you do away with the whole redemption being necessary, there's no need for a savior. There's no need for Christ. So Christianity,
and it's not a no true Scotsman because that pastor actually is an atheist.
Yeah.
But so what I'm saying though is it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter. It matters for some things, whether you're like an extreme fundamentalist, crazy person like Swanson, or if you're like the UU Christ believing, Christ leaning, liberal churches. As long as the crucifixion and the need for redemption and original sin are present, there's inherently something bad about humanity that requires this gap to be made up in a supernatural way because we're unable to do it ourselves. That's present no matter what, runs the gamut from UU to whatever Swanson is.
What about
has to be there?
This guy that he's talking about, who's apparently pelagiistic. I fucked that word up horribly again because we just learned it. You always fuck it up when you first learn it. But
well, some of us do.
But not believing that. But not believing that you are born with original sin, where you're born good, and you have to, if you do evil things, now you are a sinner. But you got to work towards sinning. Like you get. Like in his mind, you start off with an A and got to work towards an F. Where with Swanson, it's like, no, you've got an F and you got to work towards an A.
You start out
that's the only Christianity you ever hear about is you're born with an F.
Yeah, but what the other guys view is you're born with an A.
But who believes that still?
Well, apparently people who are pelagiistic. Not paralyzed, but...
I never hear that. I never hear of people believing that.
Because they usually don't... They're probably not stirring as much shit as the ones who are...
Yeah, they're probably more the liberal ones, I guess. But
probably.
But you're still relying on the crucifixion, though, yes?
They would have to be. If it's a Christian church, yeah.
Right.
If you sin, that's when, God has to, save you from your sins. You have to repent for the sins. But you're not born with sin.
Well, but then, but that, again, like I said, that would destroy the whole basis of it being a Christian religion.
Yeah.
If it's a Christian religion, they believe in Christ the Savior who came for the ultimate redemption of the rest of humankind, as long as they would accept him as their Savior. He came to die for our sins.
Yeah, in fact, it's worse than that.
And it's not just the people before, it's everybody afterward as well.
In a way, that view actually does damage to both sides. It's like these crazy fundamentalists still cling real hard to the crucifixion part, where those guys, what are they called?
Pelagiistic.
Yeah, they're doing damage to the crucifixion and still requiring that humans are depraved.
Or are
require the crucifixion, that they're doing damage to both sides.
Or they're accepting the crucifixion.
Doing the hokey pokey. Yeah.
They're accepting the crucifixion and saying, well, the crucifixion is what gave us the A to start out with when we're coming to life.
I see.
Before then, you had an F.
So
after he sacrificed himself for man's sins, now we get an A.
Yeah, but it still all comes back to inhumane views and self-deprecating ideas that every human who clings to religion has to have at least in a part in themselves.
And it also comes back how a perfect book has been interpreted so many different fucking ways. So it's not very perfect.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would think that if the book was perfect, it would be
universally accepted as this is the right way. Not
unambiguous, perfectly clear, perfectly understandable by everybody in all circumstances.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's not a loving God that only wants certain people back.
Or unless there's no fucking God and man just fucking put a book together so they could abuse women.
Of course. That's
well, but if there is a God and you're saying that it's a perfect book, then the God who created the book that does so much division within everybody
isn't perfect.
Would be a malevolent God.
Yeah, he's an asshole. Yeah. Has to be.
To his congregation nor to his family. And he is not doing what he should do as a pastor, and that is stand and proclaim truth and grace. There is healing for the sinner. There is the cleansing for the sinner in the blood of Jesus Christ.
He says, if I have gay children, you'll all know it. In other words, I'll bring them out. I'll be proud of it. I'm excited about it, et cetera, et cetera. But, as a pastor, if your children turn out to be sinners, well, they need Jesus too. If it turns out they abandon the faith while they're in the household accused of riot, unruly debauchery, et cetera, within the household, you need to resign as a pastor.
Put that in your pipe.
That was kind of
autoplay.
Cool. Yeah, just moving on to Rick Wiles. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Yeah, that's a crazy thought that, if your kids are sinning, then you can't be a pastor.
Yeah.
You have to be perfect and your family has to be perfect, but perfect according to what I tell you is perfect.
Because they're only sinning, they're doing nothing but being themselves. Mm-hmm. And being themselves is in itself a sin to him.
And who are they harming ultimately?
No
I mean, even if you accept that being gay, even if you believe that being gay is a sin and bad, well, who are they harming?
God.
They're harming God?
Yeah, that's why it's a sin. It's an offense to God. He said not to, and they're doing it.
So God won't return now.
So because they're hurting God's little feelings,
which means he's imperfect, by the way.
Right, that he could have his feelings hurt, that he would,
that he would even think that a puny little human could cause him any offense whatsoever,
because he knows the offense.
So the whole idea of sin, which is, in some definition an offense to God, that whole idea demonstrates God is imperfect, and original sin is a cornerstone of most of Christianity.
Well, it also proves that God isn't all-knowing or controlling.
Almost a paradox, right in the very core basics of their theology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if God's all-knowing and all-controlling, or all, has ultimate control over everything that goes on, he's letting you sin. He might be making you sin. Not the devil. The Jeebus.
Jeebus is making me sin?
Well, yeah. He's got the control.
Or he's allowing it.
He's playing the Xbox.
Well, he has to at least be allowing it, right? Because he's not stopping it, so...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's bogarting the controller. He's not passing it.
Puff, puff, give, Jesus.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, criticisms, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrebelution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the twatter at TGR Podcast. Thank you!
You want to do some more? We got Robert McGinnis.
He goes off on gays and witches.
We got Rick Wiles. Ivanka Trump is a Kabbalah-practicing evil woman whispering evil things in the ear of her father. That one sounds fun.
That sounds interesting.
Sounds weird because
isn't
he a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
I thought he was.
I imagine he's got to be. Oh, you know what? Is he scapegoating for Trump's fucking humiliating failures?
Oh, he might be. Let's listen to it and find out.
Of course he would put it onto a woman, right? It's her fault.
Well,
yeah.
Trump basically made it sound like his first few weeks in office have been going great.
Well, of course he makes it sound like that.
I didn't listen to the speech, but
what is he going to say? No, it's terrible. I'm doing a shit job.
Yeah.
I'm awful. I'm the worst.
If he was honest.
I just don't even think he sees it.
No, I think he's.
I don't even think.
You think he's that blind? That
into himself.
More and more.
That self-centered.
More and more. I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew he was way off the charts narcissistic to begin with, but the more and more I have exposure to him, the lower and lower I think his IQ is, the less perceptive I think he is about anything outside of his little box right in front of his face. I think he's completely blind to everything that's not him.
Because everything that he is doing right now, he made fun of for Obama every time he did just it once. Playing golf, going on vacation, doing all this stuff, saying, "Oh, they're spending too much money on that. We need to cut."
Bombing Syria.
Yeah.
Those are great examples of how he only sees one way. You know, he just cannot turn it around.
Well, even there's a lawsuit coming out against him, and he basically came out and said, "I'm president now. You can't sue me."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I'm president. Go fuck yourself.
I've been sued too many times. That's why I ran for office. So you can't fucking sue me.
Yeah. He is a child. He literally is like a toddler where if I'm doing it, it's fine. And it doesn't matter if it's the same thing that I've criticized other people for. I'm doing it now.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You know, but if you're doing it, I don't care if I agree with it or not. That's bad because you're doing it. That's literally how he seems to be.
And did you see what Ivanka had to do on Easter Sunday?
No.
She had to hit him to get him to, put his hand over his heart for the national anthem.
Oh, I think you mean Melania.
Yeah, you mean Melania.
I think he's fucking both of them.
Oh, God. Tribulation Trump is having sex with his own daughter.
A stringy-haired slut.
Yeah. She's standing next to him. They started playing the national anthem. Everybody raised their hand over their heart.
Yeah, and he's doing that typical little kid thing where he's just kind of swaying back and forth. And
she
got
has
a shit-eating grin on his face.
She has to hit him and realizes, oh, I'm
right,
on TV.
I gotta put my hand over my heart, right. Sorry, Melania.
I didn't know.
I'm so sorry.
I didn't recognize the song.
I was just looking over the throngs of my adoring supporters.
Yeah.
I got wrapped up in the moment. I'm so sorry.
All the white, rich families we invited to our house for Easter.
Look at this crowd. Isn't it the best crowd? They're amazing.
And then, did you see the whole autographing fiasco?
No. Autographing what? With who?
Hats. So on that same day,
where
the kid goes, "Hey, can you sign this?" He grabs
President
it.
Trump, will you please sign my Make America Great Again hat, please?
That he probably gave out. He signs it, then chucks it.
Yeah.
Then grabs another one from another kid, signs it, and chucks it. He's like, "Hey, have a great day."
Fetch, you little fucker.
And the little kids, I can hear someone right at the end goes, "Whose hat is this?"
I'm sure the look on the kid's face is just this crestfallen, why did you throw my hat away?
You can see his arm reached out to take it back.
And Trump's like,
and he just
fuck
chucks
you.
it. It's like,
oh, those poor little kids.
I mean, now the kid's going to learn that guy's a dick.
Mm-hmm. Daddy, why did the mean orange man throw my hat into the crowd?
Shut up. Just get another Confederate flag.
Oh, that's so sad. Those poor little kids. Yeah, I didn't see the clips, but I read the story about it.
I watched the hat throwing one. Was kind of funny because the kid, you can hear the kid ask, "Will you sign my hat?" And then he grabs the hat, signs it, and chucks it. He says something else.
Like he's a fucking rock star.
Yeah, he just throws it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just throw it up in the air for the kid to
throw it
catch.
into the crowd for people to fight over. My adoring throngs of supporters.
Yeah. If he were to just toss it in the air at the kid, it's still disrespectful. No, he chucked it
into the crowd, away from the kid.
Yeah, away from the kid. It's like, holy fuck, you asshole.
Well, Rick Wiles, let's see. Yeah, I'm curious to know what his take on this is.
London's Express newspaper reported Saturday that Ivanka...
He's recording from the toilet, apparently.
Yeah.
Trump Kushner, President Trump's daughter.
Yeah, we fucking know.
Was the person who persuaded him to bomb Syria.
So
her husband, Jared, is the wealthy man at age 36, representing the cabal. The deep state cabal in the White House.
Oh, I get it now.
And
he's a Jew.
You'll notice that Ivanka doesn't have any money. It's all Jared Kushner's. They're a married couple. Her father is a billionaire. but she doesn't have any
So
money.
is her husband.
Jared Kushner is the one with all of the money.
Or he's 100 million.
Because he's the head of the household. She's the lowly wife.
Yeah, but he's a Jew boy, so that's why
he's part of the evil cabal.
Yep, that's the connection. Because I'm like, why does Rick Wiles care if we bomb Syria? He wants to bring about Armageddon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
White House. Mr. Kushner's real estate ventures have received generous funding in the hundreds of millions of dollars from entities financed by George Soros.
I'm skeptical of that.
His closest associates are Goldman Sachs bankers.
So what?
There's a little bit more to the story of Jared.
He's a Republican. Why does he care? They love that shit.
And why is everything about George Soros?
Yeah, I know.
The guy's probably
I still don't really know who the fuck George Soros is, other than that all the right-wing people seem to be terrified of him.
He's the richest Democrat in the world.
Richer than Warren Buffett?
No, but Warren Buffett doesn't.
I thought, or Bill Gates. I thought Buffett was much more wealthy.
But George Soros gives a lot of money to political campaigns.
He's more active. He's more politically active. Is that the thing?
Like kind of like the Koch brothers being politically active with the Republicans. He's one of those guys. Koch. I always say Koch.
Do you know
Crotch.
Mayor Ed Koch? Sure,
Yeah.
I get that. Do you know where he got his money?
I don't.
Huh.
I know he's an older guy, but I'm just betting the guy's probably sitting in a cabin in fucking Vermont, just wanting to make fucking syrup, being like, I didn't fucking hire the fucking protesters, you dipshits. I'm just making syrup on my fucking farm.
Is that what he does?
I don't know. I'm just making that up.
No.
But if I was a rich billionaire, I'd probably move to
You would want to
Vermont
make syrup?
and make syrup. Yeah, why not?
I don't think you have to be rich. You just go there.
And
no,
make
but
syrup.
but I want to. Land costs money.
Oh, yeah.
Just do it for a vacation. I mean, if it's a dream of yours, fucking just do it.
Dude, those people that tap trees out there would love it if you showed up and said, hey, can I do some of this work for you? They'd let you.
Oh, yeah, sure. Come here and collect our buckets full of sticky shit.
Because apparently Vermonters sound like they're from Minnesota.
Isn't that how everybody sounds in that area?
No. That's not that area.
Well, I mean, you're just crossing some water and going more north.
Dude, it's like 1,000 miles away.
In like 3 states.
Yeah, but it all looks, I can pinch it with 2 fingers on the map. So.
You need a bigger map.
Vermont's part of New England.
So they're all talking like this? Yeah, come here and get our sticky shit off of the fucking tree, you.
Yeah, they're all from Queens or whatever.
I like doing accents.
Now that was South African.
Jared and Ivanka Trump Kushner. Jared is an Orthodox Jew. Ivanka Trump converted to Judaism so she could marry Jared. They are both followers of the Jewish sect Chabad Lubavitch.
Chabad Lubavitch.
I couldn't pronounce it 10 times in a row.
Chabad Lubavitch.
Both Jared and Ivanka revere the late Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson. The rabbi died in 1994, considered to be one of the most influential Jewish persons of the last 100 years.
And that's why we've
Many
all heard
Orthodox
of him.
Jews.
Yeah. So this whole thing is Rick Wiles
pissed off that they're Jewish.
Yep.
Yeah, Rick Wiles is a giant anti-Semite.
Yep.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. And also, I love the way he's reading this with this feigned sense of credibility. Like he's doing the dramatic pausing, and he's trying to read it with a serious tone, and it's like, dude, nobody fucking believes you. Believe any of this you're saying. Most influential Jew of the last 100 years that none of us in this room have ever heard of, and we do religion every week.
Mm-hmm.
Think he was and is the Messiah. In fact, many of them are waiting on him to come out of the grave and be the Messiah.
That's a long fucking wait if he died
This
in
is who
94.
Jared and Ivanka Trump Kushner revere.
You revere a dead
On the
Jew,
Saturday
too.
night before the election.
I wonder who Rick Wiles supported in the election. Did he support Trump?
He probably eventually at the end.
Or Cruz,
once he was the final pick. I would see him more as not Cruz, but a
Santorum?
Not Santorum.
Huckabee?
Yeah.
Could be.
Huckabee going over to Israel and this is where God's coming back to the return and shit. And
to the return.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
Jared and Ivanka Trump Kushner visited the grave site of Rabbi Schneerson.
Okay.
Supposedly to seek the dead rabbi's messianic blessings on Donald Trump's election victory.
So fucking what?
Okay.
Well, that all sounds weird, no matter how, I mean,
I know.
Whether they did it or not, like him saying it sounds weird if it's just this conspiracy thing he's come up with. But if they did it, in fact, that would still be weird.
I don't think it's weird. It's no different than people going
to a dead person's grave to seek their blessing on somebody else's dude.
It's no different than going.
Are you trying to make sense of religious ritual?
I mean, it's no different than going to a gravesite of a family member on their birthdays or that kind of stuff. It's like they don't.
But would you go there and say, "Hey, I hope you'll offer your blessing for this person who's running for office"?
Maybe it's someone that their father died before they got married, and they go and they have a talk at their father's grave, saying, "Hey, no, I'm marrying this." People talk to dead people.
Yeah,
at their gravesites.
these people don't think he's dead. They think he's still alive if they're Jews, right? So there's a spirit there somewhere, isn't right?
Well, he's definitely taken more than 3 days to raise from the grave, though. He's been since '94, and they're waiting for him still to come out of that thing.
But also, Rick Wiles is doing this hyperbole bullshit where nobody else in the fucking world calls her Ivanka Trump Kushner. This is Barack Hussein Obama all over again.
Ivanka credited the dead rabbi for protecting her father when the man attempted to assassinate him.
That's what you do with your dead rabbi.
Yep. I think you call it a guardian angel?
Or Jesus?
That too.
Don't you credit Jesus when things go for protection, when things go well? Don't you do that?
Yeah, but Jesus
of course you do.
But Jesus is really silly bunny.
Who was also a Jew.
Well, he converted.
Jesus Christ, Kushner.
Him off the stage? I believe that they were there at the gravesite when that happened, and that they believe that this dead rabbi protected Donald Trump. In addition to being a scholar of the blasphemous Talmud, he's also an esteemed teacher and practitioner.
So all Jews are blasphemers.
Yes.
Yep.
Wow. This guy has like a regular radio show and shit. So much for Jews controlling all of media.
Right.
Practitioner of Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, witchcraft. This is the rabbi that Jared and Ivanka revere.
Yeah.
This is his whispering in Donald Trump's ear, bomb Syria.
Okay. And
well, I'm going to say something radical
big
now.
Fucking balls.
Oh, now he's going to say something radical. But but secondly, why don't you just cast a fucking Jesus spell on Trump so he doesn't do the things you dislike?
Yeah, there should be
Why
an
don't you just do
anti-cabal.
that? If it's so blasphemous, it should be easy to take care of. Plus, Jesus already speaks the language. Should be no problem.
Christy ball, Christy ball, Christy ball.
Yeah.
Lightning rod.
What was it?
Lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt, yeah.
I've held back, dog. I've held back. Okay.
Oh, he is giving a speech like it is.
Ivanka Trump Kushner. Just how much power and influence does she have over her father? I got to tell you what came to my mind today as I prayed about it.
Oh, as you went to your
Matthew 14.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
At that time, Herod the Tetrarch
yes, he consulted his
heard
dead
the
Jew.
report
Yeah.
about Jesus and said to his servants, "This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore these powers are at work in him. For Herod had laid hold of John and bound him."
Oh, don't cry now.
Laid hold of John.
Yeah, and John the Baptist. No T.
So he's ragging on them for a Jewish leader that was going to rise from the grave and be an ultimate leader, but then goes to the Bible and goes exactly to a text where the guy returns from the dead.
Yeah. Yep. Written by Jews.
Okay. Sense no making.
Right. Yeah, the inability to even see the irony here is unbelievable.
And put him in prison for the sake of Herodias, his brother's
Not
Philip's
Herodias.
wife. Because John had said to her, "It is not lawful for you to have her." And although he wanted to put him to death, he feared the multitude because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was celebrated, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Therefore he promised with an oath to give her whatever she might ask.
So she did some sexy dancing in front of him, gave him a boner, and he's like, I'll give you whatever you want, baby.
Like a stripper.
So she, having been prompted by her mother, said, give me John the Baptist's head here on a platter.
Well, that's just not
Sounds
nice.
like a reasonable request.
Mm-hmm.
Is she going to eat it?
I don't think so.
Then why on the platter? Want to...
well, you don't want to just carry it around by the hair everywhere.
Well, no, just put it in a sack.
Oh, it'd be more convenient.
It would be.
And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, because of the oaths and because of those who sat with him, he commanded it to be given to her. So he sent and had John beheaded in the prison.
Well, that's
aren't you pro death penalty?
That's who I think Ivanka Trump is.
What? She's John?
Oh, no, she's going to behead John.
She's the dancing lady that wanted somebody's head.
She's a Kabbalah practicing evil woman whispering evil things in the ear of her father.
Oh my God. Who takes this guy seriously?
She's going to the gravesite of an old dead Kabbalah practitioner and getting spirits telling her what to do.
Doesn't he do that? Doesn't Rick Wiles do that?
Same exact thing.
Oh, but probably not with somebody who practiced Kabbalah.
No, they practice Christianity. Holy fucking pauses.
Won't hear that on TV.
This guy is fucking Brian Fisher on chloroform.
It's the truth.
No, it isn't.
It's the truth.
It's your conjecture.
We have to pray against witchcraft.
So do it!
In high places.
Like on mountains?
Witchcraft that plans to kill millions of people. This isn't a bad dream. It's not a movie. This is not a reality show.
It's
like people can't distinguish
Didn't he say
anymore.
he had a dream about it? Didn't he just say that? And it was
It's not a
Matthew
dream.
whatever? Didn't he just say that?
Between fictional TV and online media content and reality. This is reality.
No, it's not.
No.
But it's like a sci-fi movie.
Your brain is a sci-fi.
We have a reality show host in the White House.
That's true.
Acting out a reality show in real time and bombing a nation for no reason other than his daughter whispered into his ear.
And I don't think that's true.
I think there were some reasons why somebody may have wanted to bomb Syria.
Yeah.
Here's something that I find very interesting, though. All of a sudden now, this staunch Republican has a problem with just freely bombing some country that's in the exact area he wants bombs dropped. But when it suits his needs to be a fucking Jew hater, now he realizes that he can use that bombing to say, oh, well, here's such a bad guy. Well, okay, if you understand that bombing countries for no reason is a bad thing now, what the fuck do you think other times? Why? When is it ever okay? Now, all of a sudden, now you're using it for your advantage? No. It's never okay. What a fucking asshole.
Daddy, please bomb them.
That wasn't creepy.
All right.
It's Ivanka and Jared who are cleaning out the White House.
Not Steve Bannon.
They are the power center.
I think Bannon's got more power than his daughter does.
They got rid of General Flynn. They're getting rid of Steve Bannon.
Didn't Flynn resign on his own?
It was kind of like a...
It was a, I'd like your resignation, please.
Yeah, but I think he knew he fucked up.
Right.
Well, he had to have known he was fucking up when he was lying to everybody.
Yeah.
But...
And he's saying they got rid of Steve Bannon, which is obviously not
And
true.
they knew about Flynn for at least 3 weeks before they got rid of him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, what is he supposed to think? They've known about it for 3 weeks and they haven't gotten rid of me, so I guess I'm okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And Bannon may be on his way out now, it sounds like. So, after we did our 2 episodes on him.
They listened.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was.
They're cleaning out the White House to surround President Trump with their Kabbalah practitioners. And the only advice he's going to get will be from people who are evil.
You know, the Jews.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the church is letting this happen.
From which church?
Yeah, which church? But also, does he really think that Mike Pence isn't in total alignment with Rick Wiles? Does he really not think that the vice fucking president is going to be like, oh yeah, totally, evil Jews take over. I'm the fucking VP Christian who wants to make a theocracy, but, you know, bagels every day sounds pretty nice.
Well,
I love locks and a good schmear.
The cabal could have put a really good spell on him, and they just haven't found the antidote to it yet.
I just think it's interesting that you have this hard right Christian theocrat as the vice president, and nary a mention from Rick Wiles. He talked all around him, didn't even bring it up.
It's almost like he
was avoiding it.
He purposely avoided it, or thinks that Pence is just so feckless. And anyway,
no,
you know.
but I mean, if that were the case, then there's an easy argument to make there too. And why not throw that in there? You know, we have this guy we thought was going to do this, and now he's blowing it, and he's letting them take over. Just throw that in there. Why not? If you're avoiding it, it's obviously hard to construct a fantasy argument around. So you just ignore it like a fucking teenager does. Just omit that stuff and hope nobody catches on. Well, I caught on, Rick Wiles. I caught on.
I see what you're doing, you wily Wiles, you.
But even though I don't like Mike Pence, I got to say he's actually doing the job he's supposed to be doing. He's not going golfing on the weekend.
What job is he doing?
Well, the job of he's doing the kind of the president's job, going and meeting with foreign leaders and stuff. While Trump's out golfing, he's meeting with all the foreign leaders. He just did the whole Asia trip where he went to like Japan, China, Korea.
Yeah, we know what Asia is, Ryan.
Yeah, but he didn't go to all of it. He didn't go to North Korea. That's in Asia. I thought I'd get more specific. He might have thought I meant Asia the stripper.
Oh, that's true.
Thank you to everybody who has rated the show on iTunes and Stitcher and are following us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And to all our Patreon patrons, you make the show possible.
I feel like I need to wash the sound of Rick Wiles out of my ears.
I have the perfect thing.
Yeah?
Big Dawes TV.
Okay. Big Dawes TV?
Yeah, DAWS.
You can just Rick-roll yourself.
Because we're about done, right? We've covered it enough tonight, haven't we?
Yeah.
Oh, we do need to make an outro for this show yet.
Blong.
Do beatboxing.
Big Dawes TV beatboxing?
They do like a
Big Dawes beatbox?
Yeah, they do like a Nerds beatbox in Compton kind of thing.
Nerds beatbox for strangers?
There's a Compton one.
Nerds beatbox in the hood.
Yeah, sure, any of those.
Go to the hood.
Nerd beatbox in Compton? Is that the one you want to hear?
Any of those are fine.
Yeah, I want to see them get their asses beat.
It's actually pretty funny.
Hey there, welcome to Big Dawes TV. Today I'm with my friend Ozelis, and we're going to be beatboxing in the hood.
I love their shirts.
You want to hear some
polar bear.
beatbox? Sure.
It's just weird to see two white guys in Compton, that's all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay.
Me and my friend here, this is my friend. We've been trying to become beatboxers for the talent show, and we were wondering if we could show you, and you could tell us if we're any good.
Oh, go for it, and then I'll flow on.
You want to rap on it?
Yeah, okay, I'll give you.
Cool.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Check it out.
Okay, yo.
He's going with the best.
Yo.
Yeah.
Too late.
too late. I go all day, man. I like the hype man, though. You already know.
This is horrible dancing.
Y'all fucking funny. You guys like that?
That'd be old.
Yeah, check it out.
Really? How he do that?
Pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah. Slow it down. Yes, now I'm back, pausing back on the track. It was nothing but the shaman. I do that shorting on the beat. I do this in walking on them lambda feats and light. Still be walking in and striking that light. I'm coming through. What it do? Yabba dabba, abba zap. Ain't no wire, striking fire. What you mean? Keep it clean on the same damn team. Didn't even know what you nothing. No kind of let it show. Let the wings spread then. Gotta go. Okay. Hey, killing it. Okay. Hey, killing it. Hey, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to pause it for a minute. He's really fucking good at
He is.
beatboxing.
Oh yeah, dude.
He's really good.
I don't even know how you make
I wish there
those-
wasn't so much traffic noise because
He's
that's
so good.
really fucking good.
Yeah. That's why it's funny. It's like, holy shit.
Hey, that's good, man.
He's not even hiding his wireless mic.
Good, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. You
It's
just
practice.
use that, man.
It's all practice.
Yeah.
You know? There's a sound I've been working on. Sounds like a bass in a car. It's crazy.
Wow.
Okay, watch. Okay. Yeah.
That was.
Oh, yeah. A little jiggle there. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Let's try to get 50,000 likes.
Yeah, that dude is really good at
He was fucking awesome, man.
Hell yeah.
I've never heard of these guys before.
It's fucking cool.
Big Dolls Beatbox. And they're wearing nerdy t-shirts and Coke bottle glasses.
Yep. All tucked in. No pocket protectors, though.
No pockets on the shirts.
True, but you can just pin one on.
Well, and thus ends season 3.
Oh, what a glorious season it has been.
I've really enjoyed doing this show with you guys for the last 3 years. I must say.
It doesn't even
good.
feel like 3 years has gone by.
It doesn't. But I think if you listen to this episode versus like episode 1.
Yeah. Like, no, I'm not going to listen to episode 1 again.
No.
I would recommend any new listeners probably don't listen to anything beyond like.
Well, now they're gonna, but I mean,
or before episode like 50 or so.
I was going to go up
I
to
don't
80.
know. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I think we've gotten so much better from where we initially were. I don't think. Did you guys think that we would be doing it for very long when we first started out?
I don't know that I really
It was-
thought much about it. I just
Like, let's just try this and see if it works and catches hold. And
like we've said every time we have this discussion, it's just like, I think that's one of the things that makes us kind of unique as far as a podcast goes, is that we all basically met
the first time
on the
we
first
did it.
episode.
Yeah.
Didn't really have a plan laid out other than to do the interview with Dan. And then, it clicked well enough and we just started building from there. But the entire record of our show and our friendship, for the most part, starts on episode 1 and then continues on through the show. So
It's a show about friendship.
Oh,
but I mean, I think that's, it's embarrassing. There's stuff in some of those old episodes that I'd rather nobody knew about, but it's out there. And, but that's, like I said, that's the unique part about this show versus others. We didn't start out with a real plan with, everything set up and, structured and designed. And worked out with how we wanted this to sound. What do we want to do with it? Well, you know, we're still working that out.
Yeah.
But I think one thing too is going from episode 1 to now is just, you know, being comfortable being ourselves around each other and fucking around, and
it has loosened up quite a bit,
which I think is good for listeners. And I think they would agree. It's, you know, you don't want to listen to some tight asses. We're just having fun.
But things are going to change a little bit again.
Yeah, Matt's going to get tight on our ass.
Yeah. I'm going to be tight ass Matt again.
We tighten up the ship.
See, I wouldn't have said that episode 1.
No. But you know, we're going to make some little tweaks and some adjustments for the start of season 4.
But it'll still be the same great show you all love.
Yeah, I mean, we're not really changing the show. It's just, you know, we're going to try to structure it a little bit better to cut down
to efficiently get out more content.
Yeah, exactly. Cut down on excess time we spend on news stories and stuff. Get in additional content like you know, more philosophy stuff, maybe some science stuff.
I think I said all this year 1.
I would, I would.
You did actually.
I'd definitely enjoy more science and philosophy stuff.
Yeah, or I mean, even the conversation we had tonight about Swanson and stuff, you know, where that sort of went into the weeds was fun and invigorating.
Yeah,
we haven't had conversations like that in a while, but I'd like to get back to some of that. So we're gonna have more structured segments. Gonna change the theme song a little bit. And then the content, of course, will still be hopefully interesting, ranty, ravey.
I'll still make really shitty jokes.
And we'll have plenty of derailments.
Yes. But time derailments.
It'll be a whole lot of fun, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, I have just, the last 3 years have been awesome. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been fantastic.
It has.
Tons of fucking fun, man.
Fuck yeah.
And thank you very much for listening tonight. Thank you very much. Oh, we have a couple new
yes, Patreon.
We have a couple new Patreon supporters this week. This week we picked up Mo Cowbell.
Love the name.
And Gaytheist.
Awesome name as well.
Thank you both very, very much. And thank you to our other supporters, Christy Kalbach, Andrew Vodopich, Jefferson, Wesley Aaron, or Wes Aaron, Utah Outcast Andy Faulkner, Angelica Pearson, Jeremy Goodson, Taylor Grant, Grant Larimer, and Savid Acuna. Thank you all very, very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's little bit different show. I mean, it's still the same show, but it'll be a little more raw.
A little looser. Yeah.
A little looser. And next week will be a tighter ship, but it's kind of fun to just let our hair down a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I can still do that.
I have.
Yeah, I let my beard down, I guess.
I'm bald and can't grow a beard. Well, I can. I'm just not allowed
I'm fast
to.
approaching Ryan level baldness.
Yeah. Except for I'm 10 years younger.
That's right, Ryan. For the last 10 years, I've enjoyed this glorious mane on top of my head.
I've noticed mine is thinning a little bit.
Oh yeah,
like I got a couple of
thin.
I got a couple of spots right here that
receding
are
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell?
I was at that spot when I was 15.
Matt has a gorgeous head of hair.
Fuck him.
Low testosterone.
But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Yeah. Please go out and rate the show. If you can't become a Patreon supporter, give us a 5-star rating wherever you can do that. Send us in show suggestions, comments. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter and all of the other places. But thank you.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Or morning.
That's tomorrow. And that is it for us today. Okay, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not right on the teleprompter. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that.
No, there is. We are going to do Sting, yeah.
Okay, but... Now, I can't read it. There's no words on it.
Okay. Honey? Sure.
There's no words there. To play us out. What does that mean? To play us out.
Sting is going to do, it's a video, Sting video.
What is...
For credits.
I don't know what that means, to play us out. What does that mean? To end the show?
Yeah.
All right, go.
In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it.
Again. 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a... I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live.
Right.
Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
5, 4, 3.
Fuck it. There's no words on it. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
I've never seen that.
Fucking thing sucks. There's no words there. Fuck it. There's no words on it. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
I've never seen that.
Fucking thing sucks. There's no words there.
I don't know. Fuck. 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 I don't know what.
Go. I can't do it. Fuck it.
Go. I can't do it.
Fuck it.
Go. I can't do it.
Fuck it.
Go. I can't do it.
Thanks again for watching. Fuck it. There's no words on it. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
I've never seen that.
Fucking thing sucks.
There's no words there.
Fuck it. There's no words on it. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
I've never seen that.
Fucking thing sucks.
There's no words there.
Ready?
Take it away.
We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
What does that mean? To play us out? To end the show?
And he was asking the Black Lives question matter, like, well, why'd you're so antagonistic? Like,
Black Lives question matter?
Yes.
He's a beast in the bedroom.
I was going to say something like that, but then you jumped to it surprisingly.
Surprisingly? Why?
Because
I'm not funny, Ryan?
Because you don't talk about the sexy times.
Because I'm not funny? Ryan?